Fellow Ghanaians, I come into your homes this morning and through your mobile devices to welcome you to the Friday edition of the AM show. My name is Sweetie Abochi and I do this with Benjamin Akakpo. And on this special Friday edition of the show, of course, Denisia Poma-Ejay is standing by to serve you the first news bulletin on the Joy News channel, the AM News. And then we'll get into the news review segment. Three gentlemen will be joining us today, starting with Afelmoni, the former president of the Ghana Journalists Association, and then Ms. Mahama Adams from the NDC side, and he's a parliamentary candidate. And then Enoch Afwakwa, member of the National Communications team of the NPP. All three men joining us to get into the various stories captured in the newspapers. And then we'll get Prime Take with Muftar Nabila Abdullah, that is on AM Sports. And then, of course, today being Friday, Benjamin Akakpo serves you his blunt thoughts. And he's captured it, The Hubris of Niobe and the Punishment of the Gods, a reenactment in 2024. I'm intrigued by the title alone, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this is all about. And then our big stories begin. Today, we want to understand the place of presidential debates in elections, as accusations and counter-accusations between the NDC and NPP ensue over presidential debate, as Vice President Dr. Bawumia throws a challenge to former President John Dramani Mahama to debate on the economy. But do presidential debates influence voter choices? That's what we seek to understand this morning. And why would the NDC turn down the call for a presidential debate as an opposition party seeking to unseat the current government? We will discuss this and many more we have on our table for you this morning. So join us with your comments and your thoughts. This is the most informative, educative, and most analytical breakfast show on the block. My name is Sweetie Abochi. I do this with Benjamin Akakpo, but Denisia Poma-Ejay is serving you the first news bulletin. Enjoy.
It's Friday. I hope today will be the start of an eventful weekend for you. My name is Denisia Poma-Ejay and I bring you AM News. Let's start from the camp of the NPP because Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, popularly known as Napo, has resigned from his position as the Minister for Energy. This decision comes after his nomination and confirmation as the new Patriotic Party's running mate for the 2024 election this December. The resignation aims to allow him to fully focus on his new role as the party strives to break the 8-year cycle. In a statement issued by the presidency on Thursday, July 11, and signed by Communications Director Eugene Ahen, it said Dr. Prempeh's resignation will take effect from Thursday, July 18. Now to a rather sad story. A couple that lost their 10-day-old, baby during a male circumcision procedure at KNUST Hospital in Kumasi is yet to receive compensation from university authorities 1 year after the incident. Faraj Mohammed, who was sent to the facility for a male circumcision procedure, died moments later after allegedly suffering a cardiac arrest. Though authorities of KNUST pleaded for an out-of-court settlement, no compensation has been paid yet. My colleague Ohim Interior of our health desk has more.
Mohammed Jamal and Alimatu Adams, a private security officer and a fashion designer respectively, took their son to the KNUST hospital for a simple procedure, male circumcision, on April 3, 2023. Faraj Mohammed was received by a nurse who took him to the theater for the procedure on the day of the incident. The wild cry of the baby was heard for the last time by the parents who were seated in the waiting area of the theater. Few moments later, some senior nurses and doctors were seen rushing into the theater, a development that made the parents distraught. A patient-centered group, Advocacy for Medical Malpractice Victims, on behalf of the parents, filed a suit at the Kumasi High Court demanding damages in compensation. But the authorities of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology pleaded for an out-of-court settlement. It then set up a 6-man committee chaired by Professor Imoro Brahima, a former provost of the College of Humanities, to look into the issue. It's been months since an agreement was reached with the parents.
University to Bofo Maneba Fee any Ebusiani Beshai.
Following the media reports, a delegation from KNUST visited us at home for the first time. KNUST then admitted responsibility for our son's death. They pleaded for an out-of-court settlement and we accepted their offer. The group, which included a few Muslim academics, assured us they would investigate the matter and compensate us fairly. Later on, we found out that KNUST had set up a committee. After a discussion with our lawyers, a compensation plan was negotiated. We accepted the figure, but never heard from them again.
But the Jamals say they are being constantly reminded of the death of the baby following the failure of KNUST to pay compensation. Mohammed Jamal feels disrespected by the authorities at KNUST.
I am not pleased with how KNUST treated my family. We are treated in this manner since they believe we are toothless. Why would you form a committee, dispatch a delegation, reach a resolution, and then do nothing? Since the matter is still unresolved, we are frequently reminded of the passing of our only male child.
Ane yaudi a mama yekum ane nkomona omoni ebedi a omondisa omoboshe ne so no ama abrebia de bia abayetrim a yedi ho abobo.
Executive Director of the Advocacy for Medical Malpractice Victims, Kwame Nkrumah Appiah, says the posture of the university authorities explains the widespread disrespect of clients by health service providers across the country.
Nothing would be able to compensate for the loss of a human being. We are talking about fair and adequate compensation in terms of the fact that at least they would have something to console their souls for having gone through such a traumatic experience, especially when the suspicion is that the child died out of the negligence of somebody, allegedly. We feel that once we had agreed mutually to bring closure to this matter, they should have by now, done the needful.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the KNUST committee, Professor Imoro Brahima, says the university cannot be held accountable for failing to reach an agreement with the baby's family. According to him, lawyers of the family have turned down a compensation package proposed by the university, a development the vice-chancellor has been made aware of. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oyemi reporting.
Well, cancer patients at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital are facing extended delays and suspended appointments as the hospital's only radiotherapy machine is unable to cope with the rising demand. The machine, which has experienced frequent breakdowns, was recently repaired but continues to operate at a reduced capacity, limiting the number of daily treatment sessions. Rejoice Semefa Bisu has been to the hospital's oncology department and our reports.
8-year-old Joshua is having one of his 33 sessions for the treatment of cancer.
Pain. I feel pain. What
do you want to become? You told me you love John Mahama. You can give a shout out to John Mahama. Anything you want to say to him?
President Jamama, please, can you help me with my treatment, please?
You are hoping to get back to school soon. Okay. You're hoping to get back to school?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
He's one of the lucky few, as many have been told to hold on with their treatment. Appointments for patients requiring more than 6 treatment sessions remain suspended as oncologists at the hospital await comprehensive maintenance on the radiotherapy machine, which is currently operational but limited to just 10 sessions per day.
The engineers posted here by the company, the local agents, did work. They worked on the machine. They worked on the machine, and somehow they were able to get it back online. But they realized that when it stays on for a few hours, then the problem resurfaces. So then management has taken a decision that we are treating, as a stopgap measure, we are treating patients who have about 5 to 10 treatments left, right?
Professor Joel Yane is head of oncology department at the hospital.
We should pay attention to non-communicable disease and cancer in particular. Yes, because our disease profile is changing. It's not only Ghana, most developing countries, the disease profile is changing. They're having more non-communicable disease, more cancers. And radiotherapy plays a very important role in the management of cancer.
On the 4th of July 2024, patients arriving for the scheduled treatment were turned away as oncologists at the Kolobu Teaching Hospital scrambled to bring engineers to repair the only radiotherapy machine, which had broken down due to excessive use. Some patients were worried.
I was scheduled for radiation treatment, which would take 16 working days. But I realized that they were having issues with their machine. I was scheduled last week, Thursday. I did a Thursday and Friday, and I'm supposed to continue from Monday up to date. After those 2 treatments that I had, I've never had any.
This incident occurred just days after oncologists at the Komfonochi Teaching Hospital withdrew their services in protest over delays in repairing the cancer treatment machine at their facility.
It is unfortunate that our colleagues, a section of our colleagues in oncology, have taken this action.
Professor Yane, having experienced the pain patients are going through, wants government to bring in more machines.
Government is aware, and there's a master plan. Yeah, there's a master plan. The plan is to have associate, because it's very complex and cancer management is quite complex, we associate it with the teaching hospitals. So the plan we have now is to have one in Tamale, one in Cape Coast, and one in Ho, because they have medical schools, and therefore we'll have the human resource. People who do some cancer work, right? So these will be new centers. Then Komfonochi and Kolebu will have additional machines. So they will have 2 each. So that when such a problem arises, we can solve it. Unfortunately, we have not been able to implement our plan. Mind you, I told you that the machine costs getting to about $2 million.
Rejoice Semifa Questions report for Joy News.
And still on health, the Edward Osei Boakye Trust Fund, in its quest to alleviate challenges in the health sector, has made significant donations to the Bator Catholic Hospital and the Dental and Hematology departments at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. To address the issue of patient transportation, the Trust donated an ambulance to the Bator Catholic Hospital and also made a financial contribution to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. There's more in this report.
On behalf of the Edward Osei Boakye Trust, I hand over this ambulance to you to be given to the Bator Catholic Hospital.
The Edward Osei Boakye Trust Fund, known for its philanthropic effort, says they are committed to complementing the efforts of government in providing health care for the people, hence the gesture. A total of 543,000 Ghana cedis was donated to the dental and hematology department of the Kolabo Teaching Hospital and an ambulance to the Bato Catholic Hospital. Listen to the board chair of the Trust Fund, Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kwame Nkrumah, who is also the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church, Ghana, tell Joy News why they took the initiative and says they have plans to do more in the future.
For this year, we have had a number of these requests, but we decided to approve these three for this first part of the year. First is for the ambulance, which was a request from Bato Catholic Hospital. And we took delivery of it, and now we are here to make a donation to the hospital. The second is to the dental unit. We have been to the dental unit of the Kolabo Teaching Hospital. They lack a number of things and tools to work, especially the dental chairs. And we felt that there was the need to support. That is why we are making that check presentation to them so they can get a dental chair to support the work they do there. Then to the hematology unit, there is an equipment which protects the nurses as well as the doctors who take care of cancer patients. And without it, they are at risk. And that is why we felt that there was the need, urgent need, to secure one of these equipments for the unit. We are looking forward to doing more. As I said, the requests keep coming year after year. And due to our limited resources, we take care of the urgent and needy ones. But I know that with time, or in the second half of the year, we would come out with another list of benefactors who would also benefit from all that we are doing.
Reverend Father Dr. Peter Ruhes, the Director of Health for the Catholic Archdiocese of Accra, along with the heads of Dental and Hematology Department, Kolabo, expressed their gratitude. They underscored the significant impact the nation would have in addressing critical issues within their respective departments.
We had a big challenge when it came to referrals, especially from Bato. If you know where Bato is located, we had challenges making referrals and also picking our patients to the facility. Sometimes the rickety cars we use in picking our patients and all of that wouldn't really help the situation of the patients. But this ambulance, trust me, is going to solve a problem. I would always want to say it's going to meet a pain.
I present this check to the hematology unit of the Kolabo Teaching Hospital to help you acquire some equipment for the care of dental patients.
Well, tributes are pouring in for the former dean of the UDS School of Medicine and Health Science, Sir Dr. Edward Jade. His selfless dedication to duty and love for humanity, according to his family members and friends, was legendary. His passion for his job was exceptional. He was nominated by the World Health Organization as one of the 65 most caring doctors in the world and was awarded a knighthood by the Pope. Joy News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam visited the family house following his passing and now reports.
The renowned surgeon consultant, Sir Dr. Edward Jade, recounting his life as a young doctor at the Denwa Regional Hospital.
When I was here alone as the doctor, we didn't even have electricity. And I had to operate sometimes with torchlights. And I was the only doctor, administrator, nurse, everything. Today, something different has come. I'm very excited to be here. The only thing I pray is that the young doctors who are here, it's not going to be easy. I know.
The 79-year-old selfless surgeon consultant gave up the ghost during the wee hours of Wednesday. At his bedside was one of his mentees, a medical director of the Upper West Regional Hospital, Dr. Robert Amesia.
No one can live forever, but we didn't expect his demise soon. This is a gentleman who has been very selfless, and his selflessness has been proven in many courtesies. He has won many awards from national to international, like WHO, for the most caring doctor in the world, one of the most caring doctors in the world. When we came to this region as young doctors, he mentored us. He frequently visited our various stations.
The news of his death sent shockwaves across the region and the country at large. Close family members, peers, schoolmates, and friends came to his house, located at Wachago, in droves. Many did not believe of the person of the man who they see as selfless and their mentor.
Because it's like I don't have any father again. He's the one I started my career with. I ended my career with him. And I thought, now that I'm on pension, I'll be able to come and sit with him and we chat.
Being a guardian, a father, a provider, I actually traveled with him on Monday from Tamale to Wahia. And so I'm very, very shocked to have heard this morning about his passing. He has passed with a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, a lot of experience. He's contributed a lot to the development of Namdom, to the development of the Upper West region, to the development of Northern Ghana, to the development of the entire country.
Because even where I sit every day, just doing some ala, he comes around, we chat, we do politics, and then we chat a lot.
Moving on, the Coalition of Concerned Nzima People is advocating their rights and interests under Article 20 of the 1992 Constitution and the Land Act. They are calling for adequate compensation and employment quotas as the Petroleum Hub Corporation plans to acquire 20,000 acres of their land. There's more in this report.
The Coalition of Concerned Nzima People insists that their rights and interests must be respected. They demand their fair compensation for cash crops and other farm products and a mutual agreement employment quota of 15% for affected communities and 20% for the entire municipality and Nzima lands. This comes as the Petroleum Hub Corporation is set to acquire 20,000 acres of land to enhance the upstream and downstream oil and gas value chain in Africa. According to the group, the designated 20,000-acre enclave for Petroleum Hub poses a significant threat to their livelihood and exceeds the area's land capacity, while acknowledging the Petroleum Hub's development project's potential benefits, including 780,000 employment opportunities and economic growth. The group calls for a reduction in the land size to safeguard their livelihoods, land rights, and the authority for future leaders. They argue that the proposed live wall in the plan will restrict access to their farms and essential activities.
We are basically calling for a renegotiation. We are calling that our voice should be heard. We are calling that people who matters within this whole negotiation or project should be seated around the table and do proper negotiation to benefit them and then to benefit the next generation. If you've seen us here, it is not basically to fight against any project or perhaps maybe fighting against any traditional leader or any supreme power. What we are calling for is ultimate, that those involved in the consortium who wants to come and do their project, we are calling that they should come clean. They shouldn't pass through certain back doors. We don't feel safe, and that's what we are calling for. A reduction of their proposed 20,000 acres of land to 5,000 or 6,000 to start their first phase one, which is the 12 billion that they've allocated 1.2 billion Ghana cedis to share for people covering 20,000 acres of land. What do you want to scam us? We are not kicking against it. We embrace it. We want it. The youth of Jomora want job. The youth of Kablensoazo, Ulebazo, Bonyere, they want job. They need job. We need development in Jomora. But we will not subject ourselves to slavery because of certain peanuts. And that's what we are calling for.
Nana Kwaku, Enemia Mbrantihini of Nzamaland, and member of the Concern Nzama people, has said that the Petroleum Development Corporation must establish a memorandum of understanding with family heads. This MOU should cover sponsorship of at least one child from each household from primary to university level, and the provision of good roads, infrastructure, communication networks, health, and educational facility, as stipulated in the Local Governance Act 936.
Well, it's now time for Business Update with Benjamin Akaku.
Welcome now on Business Updates. And Senior Finance Lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa, has asked government to use the mid-year budget review to create a conducive environment for banks to lend. According to him, banks would not give out loans if the macroeconomic fundamentals were not favorable. His advice follows an appeal by the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, calling for support from the financial sector ahead of the mid-year budget presentation. He spoke to Joy Business.
It is more about creating loans, right? Creating loans and supporting businesses. That is where the banks will contribute comfortably. Now, if you look at the triggers of banks' intention to support a loan request, it's about how good the macroeconomy is. Seriously, if the macroeconomy environment is not supportive to lending, no bank will risk giving out a loan. As we speak now, T-bill, 1 year T-bill is quoted at about 27.87. Ghana reference rate is about 29.35. In other words, you are likely to get a loan around 32%. And we have gone through a regime of increasing interest rate. NPLs, non-performing loans, are increasing. So clearly realize that the bank's posture to lend or not to lend will be how these factors will support their lending business. And clearly, with these high figures we are seeing by way of interest rate, Ghana reference rate, high NPLs, no bank will comfortably be lending. They would rather prefer to do investment or at best pass on their money to Bank of Ghana as part of they not being able to meet the cash reserve ratio so that they can have their money than to risk the funding. What am I saying? In the budget, government should try as much as possible to create the environment that will make it conducive and easy for the banks to lend. The banks are in to create value from lending. And they will easily do that if the environment supports. But if the environment is not supportive, no bank will risk giving out loans.
And that's it for our business update. Handing over back to Denisia Pomaije.
Thank you, Benjamin. And after AM News is the news review. We'll be joined by Afil Moni. He's the former president of GJA. Benjamin, any plans for this weekend?
Any plans? Tomorrow I'll be busy just a tad, and after that I hope to rest. It's been about 2 months of back-to-back action. I need to just lay low a bit. Let's see whether Sunday will offer me that opportunity.
I'll also be working.
Oh, sir. El pan diario de cada día. That's what the Spaniards will say. Our daily bread. It's like the routine.
Okay, so that's it for AM News. My name is Denisia Pomaije. Enjoy the rest of the show.
This is the news review segment on the AM show. My name is Sweetie Aboche, and today I'm hosting 3 gallant gentlemen. But a gentle reminder that this segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and they're offering free prostate screening and free female fertility screening at their various locations. Here in Accra, you can find them on the Spintex Road opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronuma Bawumia, behind the Angel Educational Complex. In Takrade Anaji Estate, in Tema, Community 22, in Techiman, Hanswa, in Esiama, in Zima. And you can call them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. And this morning, let me introduce my guest to you in the studio. There's a popular face or a familiar face on the show. We have the former president of Ghana Journalists Association, Mr. Afel Moni. Thank you for joining us. And we also have Ms. Mahama Adams, NDC parliamentary candidate for Mion, and Enoch Afuakwa, member of the National Communications team of the NPP. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Did I get the Mion right?
You got it right.
Yeah. Okay. So like we do on the show, we'll give you a minute to get into any issue that's on your mind. Here at Multimedia, we just hosted, there's a lot happening in the country, I must say. We just hosted that national dialogue on non-communicable diseases, and it was enlightening, educative, and so many things just lets you understand that your health is really your wealth, so we should take it seriously. But over to you. I'll start with you. My Mion parliamentary candidate.
Yeah. Thank you and good morning to your listeners, viewers.
Right.
And I greet my people too, the people of Mion this morning, my party chairman and all party executives, regional and national. Thank you for this platform, Joy News. Yes, like you said, there are a lot happening in the country lately. Top among the list is this current sale of snitch, the hotels right. Snitch to Rock City is something that is bothering a lot of people, boggling our minds. So it's an issue that bothers a lot. Yesterday in the House of Parliament, I think the Minister for Employment was there to inform the House that MPRA halted the process sometime, the sale process some time ago, came out to said they've given a green light for the sale to go on. Yeah, so that is mind-boggling because before the halt, there was a letter to that effect and everybody knew what was happening. So if MPRA has made a U-turn, I'm sure the House of Parliament, which everybody knows is the House of Records, would have had an official correspondence, or even the minister in the plenary should have had something, a document to show to the fact that MPRA is saying ABC, but there was nothing to that effect. So I understand organized labor is going to a meeting this morning to see the way forward. So this is something that is mind-boggling, and we are hoping that we'll see clear at the end of the day. But
I understand what you mean, because we thought that NPRA they were the ones leading the charge against the sale. So if there's something miraculously that has happened, they should let us in on it, right? Okay, I get what you mean. Enoch, what's on your mind?
Let me say a very good morning to yourself and the former president of GJA. He, in fact, did very well during his time as the president of GJA.
Thank you.
And a very good morning to my brother from Mion. Although he's not winning the seat, but let me give that.
You know that for a fact.
For a fact, okay. Judging from the performance of government, irrespective of the hardship that we are going through, irrespective of the externalities and all the challenges that has bedeviled the entire global economy, including that of Ghana, government is serving the good people of Ghana well with policies that are harnessing the benefit of the Ghanaian potential and is driving home some positive attributes and we are getting out of the woodlots. To join my brother in what he just put out, it's sad that we continue to tickle ourselves and laugh. The National Pensions Regulatory Authority never halted the process. They directed SNEC to furnish them with the details of the transactions that they were going through. And having gone through the transactions, the details, I think they are convinced that the whole process...
The directive was to halt it for further engagements with stakeholders and the public. They didn't halt it, but their directive was for them to halt it.
So having gone through the process, that they stopped the process or the ports and furnish them with the details of the transaction so that they go through, I think they are all set. And the minister was on the floor of Parliament. And you know, Parliament is a house of records. And having gone to the floor of Parliament on oath and discharge his mandatory duty as the Minister of Labour Relations, I think that my brother shouldn't say that he went there without any documentary evidence to show. At the end of the day, where he was standing, if you know parliamentary proceedings well, he's aspiring to get to Parliament. That you can't go to Parliament without, to go and lie. You can be cited for perjury, going to the floor of Parliament to say things that are not. Should NPRA come out to say that they have not given green light for the transaction to proceed, as Senate as an entity, clothed with the responsibility or the jurisdiction to do what they are doing, to ban the affairs of the pension funds or the trust funds, certainly it's a way to go. And now that the news are out, you know, when there was this series of demonstration by Okujeto Ablakwa, the politically motivated demonstration by Okujeto Ablakwa.
Politically motivated demonstration.
I was interested to see Okujeto Ablakwa list the properties that belong to the states in the SOL administration. You remember that between 1988 and 1991, over 300 state-owned enterprises were divested to private entities. You can name them. The likes of the Aboaso Glass Factory, Isawam Cannery, and a whole lot of things. Just to come back to recent time in memory, the Catering Rest House in Tamale and the likes, which were sold to the known NDC Council
right.
of...
So your point is that
so
if Ignatius is saying that NPRA has agreed to the sale now, that it means there's nothing fishy going on. Is that what you're saying?
There's nothing fishy going on. There's transparency in the whole. There's transparency in the whole transactions. Okay. Certainly, once NPRA has approved of it, it does not end it there.
But shouldn't you hear directly from NPRA?
Contributors.
Right.
You know, NPRA probably may come out,
okay.
But if they are not out yet, Senate as an entity can also come out to say that, yes, we are proceeding because NPRA found nothing untoward in the transaction, right. Nothing untoward in the processes, and everything is transparent and we can proceed on that score. And certainly, we shouldn't look at it with a political eye. We can criticize the whole transaction, we can criticize the procedure, we can criticize the processes, or we can object to the sale of those assets, but not to look at it with a political eye. I have my own...
Point noted. Mr. Money, what do you say?
Suti, I had been reticent and hesitant to comment on the highly controversial statement made by Napo, which ignited torrents of insults and billows of anger by his political opponent. But last night I changed my mind after listening to Mark Menu,
the
venerable Mark Menu of MPP fame. He admitted that Napo goofed, and that we should all allow sleeping dogs to lie. It is true, even some will still debate it, that Kwame Nkrumah and all other presidents in Ghana are not in the same bracket. So they are not comparable in any analytical sphere. So if you touch Kwame Nkrumah, you touch so many people. Yesterday I had a lot of messages from our colleagues in other parts of Africa, raising concerns.
Yeah, this is Kwame Nkrumah.
Yeah, this is Kwame Nkrumah.
You know what's interesting? I'm sorry I interjected. Okay. You know what's interesting? I hosted the government spokesperson on governance and security, Dr. Paul Grave now, Wachidanko, and he says that the comparison that Napo is making is because at the time of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the population of this country was just 5 million. And so the work you do with 5 million people cannot in no way compare to the work that Akufo-Addo is doing with over 30 million. And that's just something to include in your assessment of what Napo is saying. Does that make any sense to you?
Well, if you look at the destruction of our water bodies and the depletion of our forests, if you quantify the cost against whatever has been achieved over the years, I had a professor who measured it in trillions of dollars. So we should be extra careful. Yeah, we should inject a highest degree of circumspection in making such comparisons. And I believe it's a fancy of lesson all of us to drink, especially politicians, You know, political communication is littered with all kinds of potholes and landmines.
Yeah.
So politicians should be careful not to step on such landmines. Otherwise, it will be their own undoing.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moni, for those thoughts. Now let's get into the various papers. I'll start with the Daily Guide newspaper. The banner stories: Mahama in Russia for support, 2.37 million euros ambulance case. Jakpa subpoenas the Speaker, Alban Bagwin. Let's debate economy, mano a mano. That's according to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and he's daring Mahama to a presidential debate. Western Region Chiefs extol Napo, and a vote for NPP is a vote for your future. Let's start from this story about the challenge for a debate. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is challenging former President Mahama to a debate. And I listened to Joyce Bawa Mokhtari, and she says that a debate is only necessary if your thoughts or whatever you're proposing are parallel. So when they look at what they're offering us or what they're proposing us against what the NPP is proposing, there's no need for a debate. What say you? I'll start with you, Ms. Bao.
Thank you. But first, kindly allow me to just see some few things regarding, the earlier issue.
Yeah.
Yes, my brother mentioned the fact that the minister, an MP, could be charged for perjury. I'm surprised to hear that because, remember, he's a minister. He is also an MP. And in the House of Parliament, I think the MPs are immune to, those, yes, omissions and acts.
Not all. They have
so certainly, you understand? Yes, no,
not all. It is not entirely.
So he's gone there to see. You get what I mean?
It is not
I just wanted to remind.
That's why they have the privileges
so
committee.
But in any case,
I get. What's the point?
In any case, let's remember, SNIT doesn't have money of their own. They don't have assets of their own. It's the properties. Whatever they have. It's for me and you. It's our you and I. It's our contributions that they have.
Right.
That's what they are managing, and they have a duty of care to make sure that they protect our contributions, because tomorrow we'll need it as pensioners, the aged. You understand?
All right.
You get what I mean?
Point noted.
Good.
Let's get into
Yeah. So what is happening is that the gentleman I'm talking about, the NDC flag bearer. The gentleman we are talking about here is somebody who has seen it all, an assemblyman, an MP, a deputy minister, vice president, and president. A communicator, everybody knows. He's seen it all. As a sitting president, he engaged, he participated in a political debate during the elections period. In 2020, as the then flag bearer, he challenged the president, sitting president, President Akufo-Addo, to a debate. They didn't honor it. So what has changed today?
Are you saying that because they didn't honor his challenge this time around, he decided
in any case,
to accept
it's not something the flag bearer will be running away from. He's capable of that. But in any case, today, he has even engaged the media recently, to air out his views on the economy, various sectors of the economy, taking questions from the media to answer. So you can see that he's not running away from.
Did you watch the presidential debate in the USA between what's his name?
Biden
and Trump.
What is happening is that.
Do you see how that paints a picture? If, for example, someone wasn't yet aligned, do you see how just listening to both sides could inform your choice of a
You don't need to be at one place, two flag bearers, to be able to air your views out on policies. The president, the flag bearer has done it before, and he will do it again, given the opportunity. What is happening is that we as a party just think that at this point of our, transition in Ghana, at this point in time, we remain focused to be able to find ways to help the ordinary Ghanaian out of this current predicament.
Ms. Bao,
so what
we
is
have
happening
5
is that
months to elections. Your presidential candidate or your flag bearer is engaging the media, engaging people. He just concluded that Building Ghana tour about 2 months ago. So if he has his, I must also add that we don't have a manifesto yet from both parts, both sides. So if he's really solid or concrete in his proposals or what he's proposing to do to turn this country around in what he calls building the Ghana we want, What stops him from facing off with his opponents? Just
Nothing stops him.
But
it doesn't add anything
the other
to
person
him.
gets the chance
It doesn't add anything to him. He's faced the media.
It doesn't add anything to him.
He's faced the media. He's done it over and over again. If Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia also wants, he can go ahead and do that.
All right.
In any case, it's not about talking now.
All right.
We've spoken and spoken and spoken. We need concrete actions. What does Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia wants to tell Ghanaians? You are already the vice president. Your government, your party is in power. Go ahead and do the work. We need work to be done and not talking.
Enoch, he says that we don't need this now. It doesn't add or take anything away from him. What do you think?
As a country, we have engaged in...
Ms. Bao, you have to hold. Yeah.
The venerable Afemoni is even laughing. I can hear him laugh.
Okay.
And the reason is that NDC should be the only political party that should not be the only political party to be run away from a debate. I'm saying this because looking at the foundation of the National Democratic Congress, the pillars on which the NDC thrives, they stand on the pillars of probity, accountability, and social justice. Where lies the issue of probity? Where lies the foundation of accountability? Where lies the pillar of social justice? So if the NDC is running away from a debate, that will occasion some form of accountability. Because Mr. Mahama, the perpetual flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, has been an assembly member, as he has rightly mentioned, has been a deputy, a member of parliament, as he has rightly mentioned, which is true, has been a deputy minister, as he has rightly mentioned, a minister of state, a vice president, an caretaker president. He did not say acting president. He said he was a caretaker president, and now and the president elected by the sovereign people of this country. So all these positions that he said, he was paid with the taxpayers' money. He was served with the taxpayers' money. So he has some level of accountability to give to the people of Ghana that given this opportunity, this were my achievements. Given another opportunity, this will be this will be where I can, this will be the position, what's the deliverables. This is where I can set this country up to. And you are fortunate that the certain vice president that you criticize day in, day out is calling out for a debate on the economy, not on any other aspect. On economy, he didn't say on free education. He didn't say on roads. He didn't say on agriculture. He said economy. Let's take it out that we are going to talk even about the macro and the macroeconomic indicators alone. If yours were good, why are you running away from the debate? And I was expecting that when Dr. Bawumia challenged Mr. Mahama to come for a debate, a presidential debate on the economy, he would have tweeted. You know, President Mahama likes tweeting a lot. So last night, I slept around 12. And I was scanning and skimming through all the portals to see whether Mr. Mahama has tweeted, also endorsing that he's ready and prepared to meet Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to debate on the economy. And look at the narratives. Mustafa, tell the good people of Ghana, Ms. Bao, tell the good people of Ghana through this major platform, Joy News, that your presidential candidates will attend and will debate Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on the economy because you stand that you did well. You gave us some buffets. You gave us some funds, sinking funds and the likes. Why can't he come and meet the man who you propound that he is the chairman of the economic management team? He has also been chair of the economic management team before. He has been vice president before for 4 years. Dr. Bawumia has been vice president for 7 years. So at least it will be a further debate, it will be a further on our democracy so that these people, our politics will be issue-based, not politics and propaganda as usual. I believe the venerable Afemoni will
I do want to go to him, so you hold for Mr. Wani. I would have thought that it would be Mahama if someone would challenge his opponent to come on a debate. It would have been Mahama rather challenging Bawumia because they've been punching loopholes. But I don't know what you think about all of this. What is really the place of debate, a presidential debate in our elections? But what are your thoughts?
It is unfortunate that such debates are not parts of the culture of our presidential elections. So in the name of cultural borrowing, we can institute that, as the case in America, so that the leading candidates will square it off with each other to enable Ghanaians to make informed judgment on their suitability to lead this nation. So going forward, I think this is something we should take a hard look at and then make it mandatory for anyone who wishes to ascend to the most consequential office in this nation.
And not just for the two major parties, but all those aspiring to be president. I mean, we have...
No, some are in just to swell the numbers.
So, yes, but they're still very much in the race, so it would be fair to give them all
let's be fair to them. In as much as they are coming in, there is a reason why the draftmen of our constitution drive the nation onto the path of multi-party democracy. In as much as we see clearly that they are unable to win or they can't win, they can also share thoughts and ideas that will culminate into a decision making that Ghanaians may side with it. And gradually, social accountability, people may push that through and it will become a policy of the state.
For instance, we have about 26 registered political parties in Ghana. Some are just in to add to the numbers.
And that's just for their own...
Yes, for all kinds of...
ulterior motive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, just America, they settle it between only two candidates.
Sure.
So the 26 will be unwieldy, too unwieldy to organize the debates.
Maybe the top 5. I mean, I'm saying this because I think that the work that so far, it is only the ARC who's put forward a plan of some sort. So it would be nice to interrogate them to at par with the other parties.
They have it at the level, but I think we can
skip
limit
that,
it to the two.
When you mention top 5, how do we assess top 5? Because
but you can tell. How do we know that is NDC and MPP who are the top?
You already mentioned ARC,
but
they have put forth something. But in terms of nominal figures, there's nothing to show that ARC has some numbers because they have not gone through an election cycle before for us to know that they are among the top 5. If we choose CPP and the likes, currently they don't even have presidential candidates because they have not elected presidential candidates. They have not named any.
All right.
For instance, how do you organize a debate between Ekwadonko and the rest who constitutes the comical footnote of Ghana's...
Mr. Money, let's do some more stories, gentlemen.
I still want to emphasize on the
Please
fact
make that brief. Yeah.
Mahama is not running away from a presidential debate.
Oh, so he's just yet to put out a date
he's not running.
that
No, he's not
like
running
to...
away.
Okay.
He's not running away. I mean, back forward. Remember, in 2020, when President Akufo-Addo refused to honor an invitation for a political debate at that time, was he also running away?
Well, there's an opportunity for...
No. Was he
Gentlemen,
was
we
he
have
also
to get into more stories. So, Mahama in Russia for support.
Because it's part of...
let's do this story. Mahama in Russia for support. And this is a Daily Guide report. And they're saying that Mahama is there seeking financial assistance in the guise of a book launch. And according to their sources in Moscow, they know that he's promising some government contract in exchange for their help to win the elections. I'll add one more story to that, and then I'll take your submissions on that. Kenya's Ruto dismisses cabinet after protest. In power to the people. So yesterday, he said that as of today, that was yesterday, in line with the powers given him by Article 1521 and so forth, with immediate effect, all the cabinet secretaries dissolved, all secretaries and the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya in a televised address. And those who are to remain in their positions are Prime Cabinet Secretary and Foreign Minister. And Ruto is saying that he made the move after listening to the people and added that he, quote, will immediately engage in extensive consultations across different sectors and political formations and other Kenyans, both in public and in private, with the aim of setting up a broad-based government. So your take on first, I don't know if it's an allegation that Mahama is in Moscow seeking financial assistance to help him win elections in the guise of that book launch. And then what you make of the power that the people of Kenya are exhibiting, forcing this man to first call back a bill that he wanted to assent to, and now he's dissolved the entire cabinet and the Attorney General. Mr. Money, let me start with you this time.
The Kenyan experience continues to resonate with all parts of the world, not only Ghana, because no one anticipated or even dreamt of the scope of agitations and protestations against the ruling government and the brutalities unleashed on the demonstrators, further emboldened them to assert their authority, because it's enshrined in our constitution that power belongs to the people. So if the people are the appointees of the political authorities, then the views, the interests of the people should, under no circumstance, be relegated to the periphery of the periphery.
Right.
So this is what you saw in Kenya, and as I said, this again provides a fountain of lesson for all those in authority to learn. You don't know when the people rise up. Ghanaians have been described as docile and all kinds of derogatory terms. Yes, but when push to the wall, and when push gets to the shove, anything can happen. And on Russia, and the timing can raise questions, and all kinds of interpretations are being put on the visit of ex-President Mahama to Russia. So we need to interrogate that, and it's also true that there are all kinds of interests, foreign interests, who are trying to, to ensure that the elections go in a certain direction. So we should be on the highest alert. This is a time for our security agencies. This is a time for civil society. This is a time for the media to sharpen their focus on every aspect of our election process to ensure that the will of the people is not changed on election day.
All right. I wish they'd given us, put in a name or something to the, they just said sources saying the trip to Moscow, the Russian capital, is an avenue to meet Russian oligarchs for a possible financial support disguised in a book launch. But, what are your thoughts on these two stories?
There are no rumors. There are no, there is no smoke without fire. And certainly, the NDC plunged this country into financial distress, culminating from the then passage of the e-levy bill into law, where government was hanged not to harness the revenue that he desired to push forth the economy of this country, with a mindset that government will go to IMF, and IMF, any government that goes through an IMF program in an election year loses an election. That was their narrative. So their interest was to push government harder so that government goes through an IMF program, whereby conditionalities will be given. And now, having gone through an IMF program, Ghana is being used as a model because of the positive strides that we are making as far as the economic indicators are concerned. So having seen all these, that yet, what we intended did not materialize into our benefit, and that Ghana got a staff level agreement in record time.
I just want to bring you back a bit, because I heard you say positive strides. Just give me 3 instances or 3 indicators that the economy is actually...
Oh, it is on record that the inflation rate rose to
yes, by 2%. 54.5%. We are currently at 22.
Absolutely.
Compared to 24 for last year.
Absolutely. So certainly, yes, 2% is significant.
Is that worth celebrating?
No, it's significant. It's significant. While others are skyrocketing, we rose to 54.5. And currently, if we are 22, it means that there is some significant changes that is happening, although we are under an IMF program. And the record time that we got a staff level agreement and the like. So having seen all this, then they intend to run to the Eastern Bloc, because now Russia has an interest in Africa, looking at what is happening in our neighboring country, Burkina Faso, and the like, Niger, Mali, and those things, whereby a new regional bloc has even been created within the ECOWAS sub-region, the alliance of Sahel states and those things. Russia's interest in Africa is growing. And certainly, if you are a major opposition leader like Mr. Mahama, going into a major election of this nature in December with a certain vice president, who in this Fourth Republic is seen as the most effective vice president of the Fourth Republic, it's on record that the attributes of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the Fourth Republic as vice president surpasses all. It is debatable. We are open for debate
because of time.
We are open for debate on that side. So certainly, Mr. Mahama will not mince words, will not lose any opportunity of encountering or going to the West, that is Russia, to seek for support, and in lieu of that, give some promises. You remember that sometimes
we have to go. So let me come to Ms. Bao now.
Let me land here.
Make it very brief.
Yeah, brief. Sometime in 2022, President Akufo had the opportunity of complaining to the American government when he had a state visit or something with the American government of what was happening at northern border, Burkina Faso and Ghana, that the Wagner forces of Russia were almost closer to our place, and it was a disturbing news for the people of Ghana in that end. It raised a whole lot of diplomatic rows and those things. These are some of the things. So if an opposition leader will want to capitalize on some of these things in aid of resources, and we will be giving promises in lieu of that, then it's something that we must look into it as a people of this country, and the national security architecture of this country must also be interested in these matters.
Okay.
Because it's a threat to our national sovereignty.
Ms. Bao.
Well, for starters, this news item, I'm not going to give it much time because, one, the source of the news item alone is coming from the Daily Guide. So I can just say that I can sense some malice, some mischief, propaganda. Because Mr. Mahama was in Russia, first and foremost, to launch his books and nothing else. That's why he was there.
All right,
so
thank you.
I don't think...
I'll just get into some headlines and then I'll come to you for your paper.
Russian language.
Gentlemen, let me do this.
The Russian language.
I see.
Yeah, but with regards to what is happening in Kenya, it's very clear. This is a lesson to all other countries, especially in our case, when you have a government that is seriously engaged in state capture. We can see what is happening, looting of state properties everywhere. I mean, everywhere across the country. We are aware that the judiciary is in court.
Name some.
We are aware that the judiciary is in court over a land issue. We are also aware in Parks and Gardens in Wa has been sold to a private developer to change into a filling station.
That has been reversed.
We are also aware that the prisons, the prison service is also in court over a state official who has bought their...
All right, Ms.
And there are a lot of things. So when it goes further, you know, the people, like we say, power belongs to the people. When they rise up, this is some of the actions you will see.
Point noted. So just some quick headlines, and then I'll come to you for the new Finder newspaper. NPA donates quadruple GCMS equipment to GuideTech. Stakeholder discuss cement pricing LI. GHA requests road maintenance funding dialogue. On the back page, Mbappe shirt in hot demand. Southgate on verge of vindication. These and other stories in the Daily Guide newspaper. You can pick one for yourself and get into it. So the new Finder now, Ms. Bao.
Yes, we have MOFA shares PFG 2.0 inputs. So the first 200,000 to register under GAP to receive grants. Yeah, so this, I will just say, as usual, is, the MPP noted for sloganeering. PFG, nice name and everything. But you ask yourself, over the years, since this was launched, over the years, so much of the country's resources, so much, a lot has been channeled into
give us context so that we can follow you.
We are not seeing
of that story.
Okay. The distribution of input credits under the Planting for Food and Jobs 2.0 initiative is currently underway. All inputs have been successfully transported to the farming communities. So like I was saying, over the years, since this program was launched, so much of the country's resources has been put into this. By the end of the day, you ask, what is the impact? Especially when you have food inflation year in, year out, rising. You go to our markets, you can't buy something, but we expect that. We expect that should government invest so much in such a sector, we should be seeing rewards, you understand, by way of positive impact on the lives of the people, food prices, on the low, or if in any case, should be affordable in our markets.
Okay, so the story says that the goods have been
yes,
transported to the various
but you go in, you struggle to see these things. Yes, at the top it's said nicely, but you go to the grounds, you struggle to see these things. Farmers plow their farm and they struggle to get inputs. You understand? They struggle to get inputs.
Do all the banner stories for me before we get into the actual story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Bawumia boasts of better achievements up north than Mahama. They have DBG to channel 1.4 billion Ghana cedi to SMEs, IFCs to provide $400 million. We have Nooks graduate's death is being thoroughly investigated. IGP. Then Hydro Authority, UKCEH partner to enhance flood control and climate resilience.
All right.
So this is what
Mr. Moni, what are your thoughts on this Ministry of Finance saying that they've transported all the goods to the various locations under the Planting for Food and Jobs 2.0? That's what the story says.
Honestly, I think Planting for Food and Jobs Phase 2 was launched recently, and I think the focus has changed. This time, individuals will be allowed to apply for funds to enable them to go into farming. I mean, I believe they've learned their lessons from the Phase 1. And many are those who are still interrogating the benefits of Planting for Food and Jobs. If we square this against the cost of food items on the market, many are those who are questioning the wisdom of even embarking on this project altogether. I've heard former President Mahama warning that he wouldn't waste any time to scrap the Planting for Food and Jobs. This is opinion, and so let's see what happens after December 7th.
Okay. Enoch?
Yeah.
Any quick reactions to that before we move on?
Yeah, sure. The Planting for Food and Jobs Phase 2 was launched as Mr. Afemoni just said. And in this time, the cardinal principle of this Phase 2 is that it is a private sector led. You know, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture introduced this new policy, bringing in the private sector as input suppliers, aggregators, and financing and those kind of things, so that government will stay backwards, so that the private sector will lead. And in this program, the private sector will supply inputs. The aggregators will then lead the charge. They will bring in all those deliverables for you to be able to cultivate. At the end of the day, you give a percentage of your produce in exchange of the goods, the things that you took, which will cost government less. Unlike the first one that government used taxpayers' money in financing this model. But this second model, it is the private sector that is leading. So the good thing is that once the aggregators are in, at the end of the day, when the produce are ready, then they will then cut them onto the market or into a closed warehousing system, whereby pricing will have uniformity of pricing and those kind of things. So if, let's say, the input supply, the aggregator is bringing the goods to say in Sawam, then the market women or the market queens are picking the goods from Sawam. The price will have some level of uniformity, because you are not going to say Bumprugu, or you are not going to say Wale Wale, or you are not going to say Sola to go and bring the products to the market center, but now it will be closer to you.
Right.
So there are a whole lot of thoughts that has gone into this community from the shortfalls or the challenges that the Phase 1 faced. So government has repackaged it, improved upon the policy, and we are waiting to see the policy drive home the necessary deliverables that we are looking for as a country.
There's a report from World Food Programme that highlights that an estimated about 1 million or 1.5 or 1 something million of Ghanaians face food insecurity between June and August this year. Do you know that?
It's only a prediction.
How do you reconcile that with
it's only a prediction.
Planting that we are supposedly doing, but
you know, Ghana, our agriculture is largely a rain-fed agriculture. Our agriculture is largely a rain-fed agriculture. So if somebody should tell me that during the rainy season we will face food insecurity or food challenges, then I disagree with you. I am an agriculturist myself. I say the agriculturist, I know what I'm saying. And certainly, once we are within the rainy season,
have we not reached the point where agriculture or farming, should not be based on the weather anymore?
Absolutely. That is why I'm saying.
Have we not moved past that?
It is because of the question you asked that which institution did you rightly mention? World Food Programme. Prediction that we'll face food insecurity within this period, June and July. That's why I'm telling you that largely, traditionally, we are a rain-fed agriculture country. We largely, almost all our produce, about 80%.
And I'm saying that haven't we reached the point where largely we don't depend on rains for our farming?
That is why government is making strides in constructing dams like the Pualugu multipurpose dam, which suffered financing problems as a result of the COVID-19 ravages. I know government is still looking around to get financing support for that project. And when successful, it will be able to establish a major agriculture production hub within the up north.
All right. Let's look at your paper now. You can do the banner stories and then one story in there that catches your attention.
Babin lies
What paper is that?
The Citizen. Babin's lies 4 flats. sexual weakness, one of the key factors contributing to high rate of divorce in Ghana. Respect your office as honorables, for others to respect you, clergy to MPs and ministers. Certainly, I will. Napo's manager chases wound to Miss Boy in Kumasi. There's a complete fallacy. It's not true.
Which story in there do you want to get into?
I would like to take the respect to your office as honorables, for others to respect you, clergy to MPs and ministers.
Give us a bit of context before you give us a sense of your thoughts. Yeah.
Page 4. Founder and leader of the Cornerstone Bible Church Internationals, cited at Kumasi Ija in the Ashanti region, His Eminence Apostle, God bless Boateng, has condemned in no certain terms officials who hold the titles of honorable, but yet preside over shameful attitudes like creating chaos and violence to disrupt peace and stability during election times.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a clarion call to all well-meaning politicians, not even to the honorable members alone. We believe that once you are bestowed with a title honorable, it means that you have been elevated up to a certain level that you must live up to the honor bestowed on you. In many times, when you hear comment from some members of parliament, some ministers of state, i.e. both NDC and NPP, it amounts to some level of dishonorable.
Right.
Last time I was on your show, your sister Adom FM with a member of parliament, and the sort of comments coming from a member of parliament, I told him right on his face on live program that he's been a dishonorable member of parliament and he doesn't fit to be a member of parliament.
All right, we do have to go, so we have to make our comments.
Certainly, our members of parliament must live up to this task. It is not because you are supporting a political party, so any comment that comes, you pass it out. Anything from your mouth, you just churn it out because you are a member of parliament and because you are supporting a political party or because you represent a political party. We must be guided as far as the running of our state is concerned, and they should remember that they belong to the second arm of government, the legislature, and certainly they must live up to that because we are looking up to them. They are representing us.
Mr. Money, any quick reflections, and I'll come to your paper.
The searchlight, okay. Which echoes the call for the Mahama Bawumia debate, but it comes to the question. Is it a tactic born out of desperation? This is a question the searchlight is asking.
Yeah.
And some are also inclined to believe that if the Bawumia camp pushes or over-pushes the call for debate, then it will be misinterpreted as desperation on their part. So I think the camp should watch it.
I guess there are two angles to this story then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether one party is running away from the challenge, or whether the other person is
ordinary should be Mahama
looking for a chance to
chasing Bawumia for a debate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's opposition and he's, so this is subject to debate. And Man 71 right BC in Ahafo. Within age is no barrier to education. And Biden's briefing day sinks hopes Democrats will move on. Biden is under allegations of cognitive decline.
Yeah.
And so this time his own people are calling on him to...
Which was evident in that performance and the debate.
Yeah, so those people are calling on him to...
All right.
Yeah, so this is...
I'll take your final thoughts, starting from you, Ms. Bao.
Thank you. But first, let me just... the issue of honorable members to respect themselves. Yeah. As leaders, I agree with my brother, as leaders, I mean, our actions, what we say, what we do, should reflect our status. So we are supposed to live in such a way that so that at least those following us will also emulate. At least it will promote peace, stability, and of course we want our country to always be the beacon of democracy, peace, and tranquility that every country or every so that you go everywhere around the world, and then Ghana will always be touted for that. So I agree with the man of God for saying that. Yeah, my last thoughts first change is coming. NDC is promising change, and change is a must. And inshallah, it will come. Ghana currently is coupled with, there are so many things going around the country that is not best. We are in a mess. My brother mentioned that they've made significant strides in the economy. I don't know which indicators he was referring to. The 2%. That's who, in the first place. Under whose supervision did the inflation become, the figures rose up to the 50%. So today we are saying we should clap for you. You see, corruption unprecedented. A lot of mess in the system, state capture, looting. So we are telling Ghanaians that, look, we have to stop all this. And to stop this, there must be change. So the NDC comes, reset the
Your
country.
NDC government was also in power, and we know what you also did.
You can't compare the 7.5 years.
Hold on.
The
allegations of corruption and mismanagement are not lost on us.
No, you can't compare this unprecedented mismanagement, corruption that we've had under these 7.5 years to that of the NDC.
Thank you. Final words, Enoch. Please make it brief.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. And I believe that the New Patriotic Party presents the best ticket that will lead this nation into prosperity. 2025 is an opportunity for Ghana to be able to lead the charge, to be able to transition into the fourth industrial revolution. And in this state, we believe that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Dr. Machupoku Prempeh present a better ticket that will be able to enhance the fortunes of our country called Ghana into that state. We are looking at people who are able to blend the path between the Gen Zs, the new world, and the old world. Mr. Mahama, who is the opposition leader, tells us that he will be giving hen coups, and this will not take us into the promised land that we desire. Dr. Bawumia is promising 1 million coders training and a whole lot of deliverables. The flat tax rate, the Estonian model, the hedging our port import duties to that of Togo so that our port will be competitive to the West African sub-region and the likes. And we will be solving the issue of corruption with digitization, which will reduce the menace of corruption. We are entreating the NDC.
Solving.
We continue to do it.
There are so many instances of corruption-related cases in this country that never see any, it never goes anywhere.
Let me tell you one
Talk
thing.
to me about Cecilia Dapa.
It's a perception.
You know what? We have to go.
It's a perception. But you see, Madam said Nam Tamakulu. I'm admonishing my brother to tell Mr. Mahama that he met the press, failed to comment on Madam said Nam Tamakulu, who the High Court of Ghana has described as a fugitive criminal. She has been convicted and sentenced. Mr. Mahama knows where she is and should be able to invite her into the Republic because she was his appointee. And it was true, Mr. Mahama, that the people of Ghana...
No, you can't say Ghanaians will shine their eyes and preen their ears to listen and watch for the outcome of the crucial meeting on the sale of 3 shares to Brian Achampong. The Bible, which is a perennial spring of wisdom and infallible guide of conduct, states in 1 Corinthians 6:12 that everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. It may be permissible in law to sell the shares to Brian Achampong, but we should do the cost-benefit analysis. The political backlash or political backlash arising from the sale could crystallize into something else. So we should watch out, especially snakes. Their image is bleeding. It said that image is everything. Their image has been punctured, their image has been dented, their image has been battered. Their image is bleeding profusely. The only way to stanch the blood flow is for them to do what is acceptable to the good people of Ghana, especially workers. I end my case.
Thank you so much. And that's Safel Moni, former president of GJA. I was also joined by Ms. Mahama Adams, NDC parliamentary candidate for Mion, and Enoch Afuakwa, member of the National Communications team of the NPP. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for breakfast.
Thank you.
Yeah. Muftan Abil Abdullah is bringing you Prime Take for AM Sports. Stick and stay.
How will you describe your upbringing?
My father being a minister of region, it's not easy to get into football. On Sundays you must attend church and do so many things with the supervision of your mom and your dad and your older brothers and sisters.
Wow.
I have 2 wives and 10 children living.
Okay. But your brothers, growing up with your brothers, how was it like?
It was not easy, because I was very small, and in those days, before you become a good sports person or a sportsman, you have problem with your brothers and sisters.
Why?
You have to do a lot of probably in the house before you are allowed to go outside to play.
Oh, okay. And your siblings did not agree to that?
Not at all. I was very small.
Were you the last born?
No, I wasn't. I was the 5th born of my parents.
Oh, okay.
And I'm very troublesome. You have to do a lot of work in the house before you are allowed to go and play. But sometimes you did not take the instructions and sleep. And when you are caught, you know the type of beatings you have before you become free.
I get that. So how did you get into football?
As I was saying, my eldest brother was a footballer. He played with Ben Kofi, the former GFA chairman. The GF chairman was playing as central defender with the Jubilee Boys School in Cape Coast, whilst my brother was also a central defender for Cape Coast Government Boys School, now Philip Kwaku. And then those were the players I liked to get inspiration from. Oh, there was one goalkeeper known as Duncan.
Okay.
His nickname was Mojo Mojo. And he says, say Mojo Mojo and catch more balls. Then on our way to our school in Cape Coast, there was one goalkeeper known as Kojo Derby. As his football career went on, he became the goalkeeper for Gold Coast. His nickname was Gold Coast Pillar. He was very, very good.
Your elder brother, was he outfield player or a goalkeeper?
Oh, he was an outfield player. That's a central defender.
So why did you become a goalkeeper if your brother was an outfield player?
I started as an outfield player.
Okay.
Then in Accra here, one day we were preparing for selection into our next step of our football career.
Oh, okay.
Our goalkeeper by then did not turn up. And then I told our authorities I can also try in the post. They did not first agree with it because they need me to be an outfield player. Then I told them before I was trying my hands on goalkeeping, so I'm sure I can be in the post. They tried me and finally I was selected the best player or the best goalkeeper of the competition. It was, yes, of the trials that we had at that time.
Yes.
And that alone gingered me to now turn from an outfield player into goalkeeping.
I see. That's an interesting one. And how did you get to House of Oak? How did you get to Great Olympics? Because what you're telling me is that you were more of an amateur player. How did you get into this class?
From our junior side, it was a nursery club for Accra House of Oak.
Okay.
I graduated from the coach team that I had, known as my own Rangers, owned by an ex-soldier. So from there, I joined Accra Young House of Oak.
Okay.
Formally, you have to graduate from a junior side into the senior side.
Okay.
Whilst with Accra House of Oak nursery team, I'm yet to be graduated into the senior side itself.
Okay.
Now, we had another goalkeeper known as Adokwe Lai. May his soul rest in peace. We were all good goalkeepers. And then, as time goes on, we were selected into the House of Oak team itself.
Okay.
My turn did not come. My turn did not come.
So
and because
so you didn't get opportunity?
No.
Because Adokwe was there?
We were all there. But he had his chance before I'm also to wait and have my chance.
Okay.
And because I like challenges, a friend who was staying near our place in Kolegono,
he took you to get
because we have been discussing a lot, asked me whether I'll be interested to join Olympics. And because I myself like challenges, I've agreed to the advice and joined Olympics from after our conversation.
Okay.
When I joined Olympics were participating in a knockout competition in Accra.
Okay.
They have reached the semi-final stage. It was in 55. We knocked out Accra Red Lions, and then it was the turn to play in the finals. The finals was known as the Temojin Cup finals match played at the Owusu Memorial Park, which was Fadama, and now where they sell the onions.
Oh, okay.
We beat Hearts by 2-0, and I was very happy. The reason being,
it was
my senior goalkeeper, with whom I was to take over in Hearts, was imposed. Lamte Mills, the owner of the now Lamte Mills at Zongo.
Oh, the school at Zongo.
Yes, he was known in his playing days as Lamte Mills, the Morocco Wizard.
Wow.
Whilst I was in Hearts, what I did was, by then I was staying at Mamprobi.
Okay.
On Saturdays, I have to come to his house at Akotolante to wash his things and wash his kneecaps, so that at the end of the day, when I'm to play in a match, he gives those things to me to wear.
Okay.
Now I've left us, no more, so I have to search for kneecaps, and then that was the first time I put on boots for a competition. So after that match, which Olympics won by 2-0, and that was my first cup, the Temojin Cup, maybe I was being watched by the national selectors.
Okay.
In 1956, I was selected to the Ghana team, and I was the reserve goalkeeper for my senior goalkeeper Lamte Mills. Match played in Togo. It was a draw, 1-1.
So you went to Togo for a match?
Yes.
When you went to the Black Stars?
It wasn't the, it was, you know, the problem is that Black Stars was founded after some time.
Yes.
It was formed, the name adopted after some time.
Yes.
But formally it was Ghana 11.
Gold Coast 11.
Yes, Gold Coast. We are past Gold Coast now. Now we have now entered into Ghana.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, 1956, it was Ghana 11.
Okay.
Then, 56, 57, now I become the #1 goalkeeper for Ghana.
Replace your senior, Lamte Mills.
Yes, now Lamte Mills, probably he has been, you know, he has been faded. Yeah. Now, in that match, we were 2 goalkeepers, myself and one of my senior goalkeepers, Kwame. He played for Cornerstones and finally played for Asante Kotoko. The match was played at the Accra Sports Stadium in a Jericho Cup. By then, Ghana had been beaten in Lagos, and the return match was in Accra here. The match ended 3-3. The next year, which was 1958, I was still the #1 goalkeeper for Ghana. There was this UK touring team that was the reserve side of the England national team.
Yeah.
They were to play 2 matches in Ghana. One was to be played in Kumasi, the Ashanti 11, and the final one in Accra here with the Ghana 11.
Are you referring to the team that came to play House of Oak with Stanley Matthews and co?
No. It has not reached that stage at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Stanley Matthews came here as an individual.
Oh, okay.
So he was adopted into the House of Oak team.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. He played the only single player from England who played with the Accra House of Oak team.
Oh, I see.
So he played at number 7. That is his usual team when he played with Blackpool.
Oh, okay.
So he was the only person. So 10 players for Accra House of Oak itself, and he included to be 11.
Oh, wow.
Now, they beat Ashanti 11. I'm talking of the UK touring team.
Yes.
5-3, or if my memory serves me right. And then it was Wednesday. So Sunday, they will meet the national team of Ghana. The organizers know, say by 2 p.m., the sun will be higher, where our visitors will be worn down by the sunshine. Coincidentally, midnight Sunday, it started to rain. This is the type of weather our visitors would like to have. So we thought by the morning, the rains would have died down, and then we also have our turn. Early in the morning, 8 o'clock, it was drizzling. Now it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11, 8. It was still drizzling. And you know, at the stadium, the Osu side of the stadium, when it rains, the place is waterlogged.
Oh, okay.
So they have to bring in some sacks to soak the water at the place. Now, when they came, we saw the slippery pitch. They changed their boots. Ghana, we have only one type, that is the rubber one. They have the rubber one and the long stalks. They changed, and then, you know, we did not have it easy at all. They, because of their type of boots that they were wearing, had it okay, and Dodu Ankara picked 7 balls from his net.
Is this the day they described as a terrible day for Ankara?
Yes. It was a very sad day for Dodu Ankara. After that match, I could not come out from my room, always thinking about the incident. One day, my dad came into my room, and then after so many advice from him, he gave me this quotation, quote, "The heights by which the great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight. They, while their companions slept, were falling upwards in the night," unquote. All that he wants to tell me that today I'm down.
But you need to rise.
One day
you'll be up.
I'll come up. Then it followed. Then 59, we played against, I was not in post, I wasn't in post. We played against Nigeria in Accra here, which I think we won by 5 goals to 1 or something. Then in 1960, I was still the #1 goalkeeper.
So you were part of the team that went to the UK for the tour?
Yes, that was 1961.
But prior to that, Richard Akwe, the Lionheart, who was in charge of Ghana football then, known as the Ghana Amateur Football Union or something.
Yes.
I remember a book I read where he accused Kofi Bedu of being the man behind his decision to resign as president of Ghana football, chairman of Ghana football. But there was another portion that the team was supposed to go to the UK for a tour and something, and because there were infights in Ghana football, they decided to iron on the differences and went to the UK for the tour.
That UK tour was the first one in 1951.
Oh, okay.
The head of the association was known as Mr. Richard Akwe.
The Lionheart.
Yes. The Lionheart, because at a point in time they wanted to remove him. Though, but then there had been a series of quarrels between him and some members of the association. So in 1961, that was the second time Ghana was to
go to the UK,
visit England.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I get a point now. So, how would you describe your days at Great Olympics and House of Oak? Good days, memorable.
In House of Oak,
yes,
I did not have the opportunity to be in post. The opportunity I had was with Accra Great Olympics.
Okay.
Playing from 1955 to 1960, where at a point in time, where Republicans was founded.
Yes.
By the instructions of Osajifo himself.
Wow. So you would talk about Great Olympics as a club that gave it the stepping stone.
It is so. I was in Great Olympics when I had those wonderful days. 55, 56, 57, and then in 1960, in Olympics, because the Red Republicans will be a model club,
yes,
2 players each were selected from teams in
the top
Accra,
teams. Yeah.
In Ghana.
Yes.
With House of Oak, Ado Odamite, and Ufe Dodu.
Okay.
Olympics, Dodu Ankara, and Obliti. Kumase, Babayara, and Dogomolu. 11 wives, Edward Akwa, and Cromwell.
So you play with Dogomoro, right, in the Red Republic?
Yes, yes. Dogomoro was a national player.
Yes, Dogomoro and Babayara. But I recall that Babayara had an accident.
Yes.
Were you with him when the accident happened?
By then, Republicans were returning from a league match. Where we played in Pando.
Yes.
After our match, because we had won the doubles, we have won the league for the second time, we were very happy. One supporter in Kpando organized some small party for us. And after that party, we were set to return to Accra. Baba Yara was in that bus. I was there. My younger brother Abeka, who has then graduated from the second team of Real Republicans into Republic, was also there. Kofi Pare was there. Ajiman Jewu was there. Oblite was there. Frank Crenson was there. Joe Akins was there. You know, but at that time, the national team comprises of about 85%
of Real Republicans.
Of Real Republicans. So we had the accident. Baba Yara, may his soul rest in perfect peace, had that injury.
I understand he was the one seated in front with the driver. And the driver was speeding the bus. Why didn't you ask him to stop or to slow down?
The driver, me, I was sitting 2 steps behind Baba Yara. Kofi Pare and Ajiman Jewu were sitting in front. Whether they were talking with the driver or not, I will not be able
to tell.
Yeah. And then finally we had accident. It was 24th March 1963. Now, 1960, we were to play a match in Lagos. But then it was the Black Star now.
Yeah.
It ended 2-2. But in that match, some Ghanaian supporters were traveling from Accra by bus to Lagos to support us. When they reached Cotonou, the bus in which they were traveling collided with a tanker, and it caught fire. Some supporters died on the spot. Others with various injuries, because they wanted to support our national team. They traveled still to Lagos to support us. When they arrived at the stadium, the match was traveling to the end of the first half. And then as we were playing, we heard shouts, because mainly some of them were coming from Accra itself here. The bus contained supporters from Greater Accra here. They were talking in Ghana. We are here for today. We shall see. We are going to win. And then you see, so when you look at them, some of them bandaged head, hand, tattered clothing, and blood all over the place. And we didn't know. So when we came to the dressing room, they told us of the story. When we came into the second half, 2-1 against Nigeria, then you see, guys will take away to our. You see, the referee was not on our side at all. In that match, I was nicknamed Magic Hands by a Nigeria commentator, Ishola. I played so well. Our team played so wonderfully. In that match, I was nicknamed Magic Hands of the way I played in that match. So finally, the match ended 2-2 draw. So that was the first time our national team had drawn with a Nigerian side.
Interesting one. That's an interesting one there. Were you in post when Ghana played Real Madrid?
I was in post when Ghana played Real Madrid. Exactly so.
I'll come back to that story pretty quick. But let me have an understanding of something. The accident that got Baba Yara injured to the extent that he was not able to recover. Do you have a memory of what transpired within that era?
It was, as I had earlier told you, it happened on the 24th of March 1963. What happened was that when Republicans was formed, we were playing on a non-scoring.
Oh, okay.
And then up to a time, the teams in Ghana said, whether Republicans start so that we can beat them. So we joined the rain now scoring. Formerly, we were playing non-scoring. So we became champions, big and knockout champions.
Okay, so now talk to me about the African Cup of Nations that Ghana won for the first time, and you were in post for that, and also in '65. What was so special about that team that you were able to win the African Cup of Nations back to back?
Welcome back on the AM show. We have a breaking story for you because residents of Tema Community 25, Gulf City, and those who apply the Tema to Aflao Road will actually stage, or they are in the process of staging, a massive demonstration over the deplorable state of their roads. Now, the aggrieved residents are demanding the immediate return of the contractor working on a specific stretch of road, as they say the stalled expansion project is not just causing long gridlocks, but adversely impacting their health. Well, we cross over now to Carlos Caloni to give us the scoop on what the latest is. Carlos, if you can hear me, what's the situation on the ground?
If you can hear me, also residents of Tamar Community 25, as well as those of Samsam or Wenya, into environs, including from Gulf City this morning at staging a protest over the deplorable state of the Aflao Road. And currently, I am the Tamar Community 25 Junction West Coast residents here demonstrating. The basic demand is that a contractor working on the Aflao to Bawumia was to return to school. This is because they are spending a lot of hours in traffic, day in, day out. In the morning, when they are moving from Pram towards Accra, they spend hours. According to them, they are spending between 2 to 4 hours in gridlock. And same way when they are coming, from Accra. So I have with me one of the organizers, the leaders of this demonstration to speak to us. Madam, you're live on Joy News. Tell us what is actually informing this demonstration this morning.
The problem has been that when you go to work and you are coming back, you spend so much time in the traffic. It's affecting us. It gets so many people. Our children to be killed. And then we ourselves, our health are the problem. Sometimes they have to wait for And so we call government attention here that, if possible, they should let us know what exactly is going on. We know there's a contractor on site, and he's been here the last 4 years. They can't sort 4 years ago. We want to know what is happening. As to whether there's a problem with the contractor or whatever, we need to know what is going on, because this road must be done. Bear in mind, this is an international road. Traffic and cars going to Togo, Nigeria, they all go on this stretch, and there's so much traffic sometimes. Wake up in the morning, thanks to Google. You go on your GPS and then you know that, let me use the back road. Unfortunately for us, now the rains are setting. And so on the back roads, which we do, so the smaller roads, you have a small car, you cannot do it. So we need government to.
Okay, so you said that the contractor is not on site. When was the last time you saw the contractor working on the road?
In fact, the contractor, sometimes we see something starting. Even yesterday or 2 days ago, we saw them pouring road base on the runabout and rolling it. Those things, they do this kind of maintenance, but that is not what we want. It's not maintenance we are here for. In fact, I'll be surprised that the British company have been doing maintenance. They are not the roads there. We have not engaged them. And also, we didn't want too much traffic today. So we refused to work with the data. Maybe when we are done, we can go to them and get more information.
All right, so how is this situation impacting your health? The fact that you are spending hours in traffic day in, day out.
Yes. And then so it has affected.
You give up your work?
Exactly. Because if you have to spend about 2-3 hours in traffic to work and 2-3 hours to come back, sometimes you have to lie to your boss and then you run away from the office. And that's and a lot of women are there. A lot of them, you can look around. Some of them have to do because we cannot do this. Our children are I can't leave for the teachers for that. So the first thing is to sacrifice and then
okay, so beyond the process that you are putting up, what's the key demand you are putting before council?
Be that you have to talk with the contractor. This restructuring existing food and that whole engagement.
And those are the residents on that stretch, the Tema Aflao stretch, lamenting the poor state of their roads. We apologize for the poor quality of sound. As and when we can have a better connection, we'll cross over again in the course of the show to find out what exactly emerges from that demonstration. Stay with us. We'll be right back. I feel like singing this morning. I feel like singing. I don't know, just this morning I was listening to that Obrafour track from yesteryear. Aden wumwadie. Then can I say answer na wati asiye Aden we ninsadie. Who born you by mistake? One wine. I don't know. I was just listening to that track this morning. I don't know. However you want to interpret it. But this morning I've titled my blunt thoughts, "The Hubris of Niobe and the Punishment of the Gods," a reenactment in 2024. The Hubris of Niobe and the Punishment of the Gods, a reenactment in 2024. Well, welcome aboard my blunt thoughts, if we can just go ahead. This morning, I want to first of all share the word hubris and its meaning. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, it refers to 1, a way of talking or behaving that is too proud, or 2, an extreme and unreasonable feeling of pride and confidence in yourself. Note, proud and reasonable confidence. Now, let me tell you the tragic story of Niobe, which is steeped in Greek mythology, and how her hubris, her pride, led to disaster for her. The tragic tale of Niobe is one of the most memorable Greek myths. I can pardon you if you've never read it. This myth was popular in ancient literature, poetry, and art. It is therefore not a surprise that the legend of Niobe appears in one of our oldest and best sources for Greek myths, the Iliad of Homer. Here's the story. Niobe's father was Tantalus, king of a town above Mount Sipylus in Anatolia. Niobe had 2 brothers, Proteus and Pelops, who would later be legendary heroes and would give his name to Peloponnese. Now, when Niobe grew up, she got married to Amphion, king of Thebes. This was a turning point in her life. Niobe and Amphion gave birth to 14 children. Yes, you heard me right, 7 sons and 7 daughters. At a ceremony held in honor of Leto, the mother of the divine twins, Apollo and Artemis, who were also living in Thebes, Niobe, in a fit of arrogance, bragged about her 14 children. In fact, Niobe said that she was superior to Leto, as she had 14 children, and not only Leto's 2, that is the twins. When the twins heard of this insult, they got enraged. And you know, in Greek mythology, we are talking about gods and all that. And at once they came down to earth to kill the children of Niobe. Apollo, the god of light and music, killed all 7 of Niobe's sons with his powerful arrows in front of their mother's very eyes. Although Niobe was pleading for Apollo to have mercy on her last surviving son, Apollo's lethal arrow had already left his bow to find its mark with deadly accuracy, thus wiping out all the male descendants of Niobe. But it didn't end there. Artemis, the virgin goddess of nature and hunting, killed Niobe's 7 daughters with her lethal arrows, and their dead bodies were lying unburied for 9 days. It reminds you of Job, sort of, only this is a different one. Devastated by the slaughter of his children, Amphion committed suicide. Some versions say that he too was killed by Apollo when he tried to avenge his children's deaths. And so it was that Niobe's entire family had been wiped out by the gods in just a brief moment because of hubris, aka unbridled pride or arrogance. Ghana, when I heard the running mate of the New Patriotic Party speak at his outdooring in Kumasi recently, I cringed, especially considering what Otumfuo had told him merely, 35, 40 minutes earlier? So I want to pause here, and there's another song I'll sing for you shortly. This is the running mate of the MPP. And at that outdooring, he had to say this. Since independence from 1957 till today, or to today, we've not had any president that has helped Ghana like Akufo-Addo. I say from 1957 till today, you can bring your Kwame Nkrumah, Samo Kwame Nkrumah, no, your Kwame Nkrumah. No president who has protected Ghana and moved the country forward like Akufo-Addo. You know that's Adani Best song, right? Oya koja tabi ole, oya koja tabi ole, keda obana. You've gone for a lion's cub. When it grows, then you will see obana. You see, it's interesting. If we go to the next slide, let's do some juxtaposition. Nkrumah versus Akufo-Addo. And I'm not even being fair to Nkrumah because I've just listed a few, paltry few of what he has done. But he won for us independence. This alone, if Nkrumah had done nothing, this alone is more than any other leader possibly can do. In reality, won for us our independence. When some of these people talking, when their forebears were saying independence, you know, in the nearest possible time, Nkrumah was saying independence now. who knows where we would have been? Yet today, some of them can utter, I'll swallow that word. He gave us the Akosombo Dam. And you know what's interesting? The energy minister, who is denigrating Nkrumah now. You know, just a few days ago, Parliament lost power. They went off the grid. They had to use their generators, and they were struggling for hours. Imagine him as energy minister without the Akosombo Dam. Just think about it. Yet, the man who gave us Akosombo is being belittled by a beneficiary of his work. He gave us the Tema Township, now a hub of industry. He gave us the Accra-Tema motorway, which we have left in a deplorable state. You saw that, those demonstrators, a short while ago. Yes. Because after 60 years thereabouts, we're still benefiting from what he left us, and we've not added much. He gave us the Tema Harbor. Let's go to the next slide. The Adome Bridge, Valco, the Atomic Energy Commission, Ghana Commercial Bank, Cocobod. I could go on and on. Is it the jute factories? Is it the tomato processing? Is it the meat processing up north? Is it the glass processing factory in Bosso? Like, can we even imagine this? But then let's go to the next slide. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I say it unrepentantly, me, even in this Fourth Republic. If you asked me about presidents who have done well in this Fourth Republic, though all of them have had their problems, me. And in no particular order, I wouldn't put Akufo-Addo over Akufo. I wouldn't put Akufo-Addo over Mills, though he lived, I mean, his tenure was so short. I would not put Akufo-Addo over Mahama. Maybe there may be some because of Rawlings and also his excesses, but even there. So to make this comparison is irksome, loathsome. But let's face the reality. And by the way, when I get into the next few slides, and I'll stay here for a while, when I'm talking about the achievements, mind you, these are achievements per what government says, what their tracker, performance tracker says, not necessarily what exactly is on the ground. Free SHS, with all its demons. Agenda 111, I don't know how many you can see yet. One constituency, one ambulance. You remember Freddie Blay. 1D, 1F. One village, one dam. Maybe you have a dam in your township or your village. Next slide. The Nation Builders Corps. A lot of them have been reaching out to me over many things, but at least it was done, right? And then planting for food and jobs. I heard someone, you know, in our news review today talking about the fact that, actually, I don't know what these people read, because if you look at the multidimensional poverty index, so many people have slidden into poverty. So many people are without food. In fact, they don't even understand, some of them, that food sufficiency and food security are not the same thing. But hey, next slide. So this is what, on some of these matters, government says, performance tracker. And of course, we've had some incidents of mistakes there. Agenda 111, they say 84 hospitals are under construction. One village, one dam, 137 completed. Ambulances, 307 procured since 2020. Next slide. 1D, 1F, 156 completed, the claim. Railways, rehabilitation of 126 kilometers, existing railway line. Interchanges, 12 completed. Next slide. And that is why Napo says Akufo-Addo is better than Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah. In fact, he is unrepentant. He says, I said this and people are criticizing me. I said, since the independence of Ghana in 1957, from Nkrumah's era to date, no government has done better than the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government. In politics, Nana, if you speak the truth, they say you are arrogant. But if you tell lies, people will praise you. Next slide. K.T. Hammond, the one who called young people with beards coconut heads. Sometimes I laugh. He says, the man may be confident, may be knowing what he's doing. I mean, you don't translate that into arrogance. I have heard one or two people talk about arrogance, but I think that is complete nonsense. Next slide. But before I get here, you see, denigrating Nkrumah, really? Your first speech. Interestingly, Kennedy Ohene Japan, a stalwart of the MPP who shocked his party members with his performance in their presidential primary, had this to say about the Osajifo when my own uncle, KSM, spoke to him sometime in March this year. And hold for me. This is what KSM asked. Is it the case that since independence we haven't had good leaders, selfless leaders? And Kennedy Ohene Japan of the MPP said this. Listen. I believe in Kwame Nkrumah, although I am UP. You see, they did a lot of propaganda, and looking at how Ghanaians are behaving now, our behavior today, we needed Nkrumah that time. Next slide. You can hang me. I still stand by what I'm saying. I've done my analysis and my studies, and he's a great man. No doubt about it. We have to emulate him. We have to think big and dream big like Nkrumah. We tend to give positions to myopic thinkers. Kennedy Japan couldn't have said it any better. Maybe Napo should have listened to that conversation before bursting forth with his ridiculous effusions. I mean, listen to what was said. You see, the Bible says something, and I'll quote two and end with something before I go to a final point. In Proverbs 16:8, New International Version, it says, pride goes before distraction, a haughty spirit before a fall. If you go to Proverbs 15:1, it says, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. He who has ears, let him hear. Now, Ghana 4, as I wrap, we also see the same hubris, pride, arrogance in respect of the SNID deal. On what basis, I ask, exactly, did the NPRA decide the Brian Achampong Rock City deal could go through? What? Just say one businessman's interests supersede those of all pensioners. Brian is someone I interact with every now and then, but I will not hide my feelings. Know that in Kenya, after weeks of protest, President Ruto has sacked his entire cabinet. Many are even calling for he himself to leave office. Here, people demonstrate over a rotten sale that we can all see is skewed. Else, why would Brian Achampong and the APP be so bent, hell-bent on selling these state assets? And what do we get in return? Flagrant disrespect, open disregard, and brazen misleadership. What we are doing here in Ghana, wallahi, you will not see happen anywhere else in the civilized world. Nowhere. They get away with these things here because, guess what? We allow it. I'm honestly happy. The Ghana Federation of Labour General Secretary Abraham Kumsin and Angel Kabonu, the NAGRET Secretary, ahead of that meeting of organized labour to embark on a strike today, have expressed their aversion to this. Why? And yet someone will get up and say President Akufo-Addo has done far better than Nkrumah. I mean, you can lift your own president, your own leader, our president currently, without denigrating the Osajifo. It's such absolute absurdity. It shouldn't cross anyone's lips ever again. Did we see Nkrumah doing this with state assets? Did we? Like we are doing now with this NID deal. And yes, my pension money is in that pot, so I have every right to express my frustrations and those of the millions of Ghanaians clearly troubled by this issue. Look, they denigrate Nkrumah. All the lies and propaganda fabricated by the Buzia regime to claim Nkrumah had stolen money and done this and done that came to nothing because the truth was eventually revealed. Today, we see the offspring, both biological and political, of those who spewed such vicious untruths about Nkrumah still doing their worst and stealing from us right, left, and center. They burnt Nkrumah's books and tried to bury him. They just didn't realize he was a seed. So as much as they tried, his reputation only germinated further and grew stronger. He just became more and more popular. Nkrumah was adjudged Africa's man of the millennium over the likes of Madiba, Nelson Mandela, and all other prominent Africans. Millennium, 1,000 years. And who is this person who may need lessons in history, who tries to denigrate this global titan? I've traveled across Africa, and you go to places and Ouagadougou has a whole major road named after Nkrumah. There's this saying that if you have nothing sensible to say, it's better to say nothing. Nkrumah lives on. Nkrumah never dies. And if some people want to keep talking about this, we can do to them what Kendrick Lamar did to Drake. As I end, I'd like to leave you with these final thoughts. As Frederick Douglass says, where justice is denied, where poverty is enforced, where ignorance prevails, and where any one class is made to feel that society is an organized conspiracy to oppress, rob, and degrade them, neither persons nor property will be safe. A nation that fails to celebrate, and even worse, forgets its heroes, soon dies off. May God save us from such foolishness, now and always. Oh, did I hear an amen? He who has ears, let him hear. Today's church service is over. Go out there and spread the good news of my blunt thoughts. Thank you for watching. Welcome back on the AM show. We go straight back to that community on the Tema Aplao stretch, and they are presenting a petition. Carlos Caloni is on the ground for us. Carlos, if you can hear me, walk us through what is happening now. Hello, Carlos. Can you hear me?
A convenient travel plan.
Hello, Benjamin. So, as we speak, they are reading out their petition. They intend to put before the government to ensure that the government is able to push contractors back onto the road. So, what you are seeing is the petition being read out. So, let's listen to it.
This very road is almost akin to an unpaved route to hell. How businesses within this region derive the expected benefits from the policy's objectives. The abandoned roads have endangering commuters, especially school children and workers. Frequent accidents, including trucks turning upside down in temporary roundabouts. Imminent danger to the tank farm storing petroleum products. Closure of shops and businesses due to the immense traffic. Loss of life, as witnessed by the tragic death of a grandmother, a former MP, died here in traffic because she could not move to the hospital. We urge the government to immediately recall the contractor to complete the road project, provide a timeline for the completion of the road rehabilitation, ensure the safety of commuters and residents. In the interim, we demand for the immediate grading and asphalting of all inner roads in our communities to ease the horrendous traffic situation. The presence of these inner roads, despite their deplorable nature, continue to ease the burden of the main roads. It is appropriate that they are upgraded to improve movement, as well as ease the stress on the parts of our vehicles. We appeal to your sense of urgency and responsibility to address this crucial issue. The lives and livelihoods of thousands depend on it, and we cannot wait any longer. Thank you. Our lives matter, our roads matter, and we cannot swim in mud. We pay taxes, and so we should be part of the state. Thank you very much. My full name is Rana Sabaya. I'm one of the organizers, and I'm from one of the residential associations.
Benjamin, that was the petition which has been read by one of the leaders of the resident association here at Tema Community 25. They are demanding that the government immediately sends the contractor back to site to ensure that the expansion work, which was started somewhere in 2020 October, is completed. Basically, it has been talking about the fact that the state of the road now is impacting on their lives. He also mentioned that a former MP also died on this road, and as many businesses have been affected. And so, Benjamin, that is the situation here. From here, the residents are moving to the Municipal Assembly to formally present their petition to the MC of the Katamanso municipality. So that's the update. We'll keep following this issue on the way to the Assembly. For time frame.
And so that has been Carlos Caloni reporting from that stretch, the Tema, Pram, Bawumia, the Community 25 end of things. And the residents are visibly upset. They're upset about their roads. And they say, this is a major road. Why should this be happening to them? They have a petition that they are going to be presenting as well. And that is what has been happening there. Later, of course, maybe in the course of this show or in subsequent shows, bulletins, we'll bring you further scoop on that. Also joining me for the conversation up next, Sweetie Abochi. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling fantastic. I loved your blunt thoughts this morning. And the story about Niobe, it was really great listening to you. And I can see what you tried to achieve there. Benjamin Akapo. They'll come for you there. But again, as usual, you're matching me. You knew I was going to wear something like this. And so you went plain.
I think there's something spiritual going on. We have to investigate.
Shame on you, Benjamin. But before we get to this belt of conversations, we have some sound bites that you need to listen to. We'll be right back.
And today, he wants a debate on the economy. Now I want to challenge him to come to Sangba and debate with the people of Sangba on the economy. He should tell them. He should tell the people of Sangba what he has done for them in the last 8 years. As he should go and debate with businesses that have collapsed because of doomsday. He should go and debate with farmers who cannot buy fertilizer because of his policies. He should go and debate with businessmen who cannot access loans because of high interest rates. He should go and debate with contractors who are not paid because his government is not paying. He should go and debate with teacher trainees who are not paid allowances because his government has refused to pay allowances. He should go and debate with nursing trainees who are not paid allowances because his government has refused to pay allowances. He should go and debate with the unemployed, our youth who are looking for jobs because
I am looking forward to a debate with John Mahama on the economy, on the country, on the governance. But I'm afraid that he's running away from a debate, isn't it? His people say he doesn't want to debate, but he doesn't want to debate because he knows I will expose the emptiness of his policies. He says he has a 24-hour economy that he cannot explain. It's as empty as an empty barrel. He cannot explain it. None of his people can explain it. They say they will be exporting lions and elephants. But when we meet mano a mano, we can debate, and the country will see where our policies lie. And that is where we should go. We should give the country an opportunity to listen to us. But if he chooses not to debate, I will continue to sell my policies to the people of Ghana, and you will take the...
President Mahama, since last year, began engaging stakeholders about his forward move, his big push agenda, his vision for this country. You remember the Building Ghana tour. That tour saw him crisscross the country, constituency by constituency, region to region, meeting all sections of our society. Recently, he's been meeting selected interest groups, engaging them on his visions and what the NDC will do for this country come 2025. You're also aware that recently he met the journalists to explain semantically what he will be doing and what are some of the variable issues that he will be dealing with. Is that not a manifesto in its own way?
So
is that not an explanation of a vision?
Is that to say that the NDC is not ready to engage
No, that is not to say. We don't have time to waste. Bawumia is nowhere compared, nowhere having a footing on a competitive national debate. He's in deficit of responsibility. Don't forget that this is the same man that was painted as an economic wizard. This was the same man who was touted a man of digitalization. This is the same man who said he was going to turn the economy around. Has the economy been turned around? Let's ask Dr. Bawumia those questions.
So there you have it. The Vice President, flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, saying the former president is as empty as an empty barrel, and that he is inviting him for a debate. So there are accusations and counter-accusations between the two parties. But what do our guests make of these developments? And is the Vice President as full, since others are empty, as full as maybe he believes himself to be? Well, Dr. Arthur Kennedy is a member of the MPP. He's an outspoken member of the MPP. And he joins us from far, far away. I like doing that. Doc, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank to your viewers.
Let me also add that we have Dr. John Osai Kwapong. He's a CDD fellow. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin.
I'll start with you, Dr. Arthur Kennedy. In recent times, I was at the Kempinski Hotel when the former president met the press, and he shared his thoughts on a number of things affecting our national life. Then we heard current Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on the election platform saying, there have been calls for us to debate and all of that. I'm inviting the former president to join me for a debate on the economy and everything in between. Then he goes on to say, the former president is as empty as an empty barrel. I want your initial thoughts on this wrangling between both parties and maybe what the essence of a debate would be between them. Is there that need? Dr. Arthur Kennedy, starting with you.
Yes, there is historically, most of the time, a debate about debates. And it is always said that the person who calls for the debate thinks he needs it more. So looking at the US historically, for example, there have been debates since 1960, not regularly, and in Ghana, there have been debates since 2008, and I played a small part in arranging the 2008 debates. I think that from these initial exchanges, it would appear as if the MPP presidential candidate thinks that he needs a debate more, and the NDC candidate or team do not think they need a debate as much. But these are initial shadow boxing. As a Ghanaian patriot, though, I think in general, debates are good for campaigns. They clarify. But I noticed that Dr. Bawumia called for a comparison of policies. I think that there, of course, should also be a comparison of records. And not only that, I also think that it should not be just the two major candidates. There might be other candidates who, in the public interest, should be included in the debate.
I see. Now, does that make you think then, since he is calling for it, and you said that historically, per your analysis, the person who calls for the debate thinks he needs it more. Does that mean, from where you sit, you think Dr. Bawumia feels he's in a weaker position and so he needs the debate more?
Yes, I do. I think so, that polling during this election season has shown that the NDC candidate, Mr. Mahama, is in the lead. There is debate about how much of a lead he has. And I think that these exchanges on the debate confirms the fact that even within the campaigns, that is their view. And if you compare it to other places, for example, in the US, in 1976, Gerald Ford agreed to debate his challenger because he thought he was behind. In 1980, Jimmy Carter agreed to debate Reagan because he thought he was behind. And even in Ghana, in 2008, the NDC people wanted the debate more. And actually, a lot of the public don't know it, but Nana Akufo-Addo was reluctant to debate because, as he put it to me, all of them opposition parties will gang up against me. So in general, the people who call for debates tend to need it more.
All right. Let's go to Dr. John Osai-Kwapong on that same self-same point. Your take.
So, I mean, I share the sentiments expressed by Dr. Arthur Kennedy. If you go back to our first presidential debate, in 2000, you do see that inconsistent participation on the part of our two main political parties. So in 2000, NDC was absent. 2004, MPP was absent. 2008, 2012, both parties were present. And so I thought that sort of represented a turning of the corner, because these things are, are conventions, are part of the rituals of, of elections. And so I was hoping that by then we would have established this as one of our conventions. But come 2016, you see that split again. 2020, no debate. And then now you have the 2024 and the call by the vice president saying, I would debate, former President John Mahama. As Dr. Arthur Kennedy said, the person calling for the debate in their calculus feels like they needed more. And so they need to push for it. And so
is that a point you agree with, though? So do you feel that the vice president feels he's in a weaker position and that's why he's calling for this?
I don't know if he's viewing it as coming from a position of weakness, but in my mind, my suspicion is that he feels he has more to gain from a debate with former President John Mahama, and therefore the reason why he's pushing for it so strongly.
Would that also mean that then former President Mahama's refusal to debate, can it be seen as a tactical move to avoid whatever it is that, whatever end game that the vice president has? Can it be seen as a tactical move to refuse this debate?
I believe so. I mean, all candidates with these debates come with gains, but also come with potential risk. You don't know what you may say in a given moment, what your body language may communicate, what your facial expression may communicate, your inability to articulate an answer to a particular question, right? And then if you think, look, I have nothing to gain, that I have other ways of reaching the Ghanaian voter outside of engaging in a presidential debate, then I'm good. And so why risk it if there's nothing to gain? I would rather not stand to lose something from participation. So I'm sure these are all the things that are going into the calculus of should I participate or should I not participate in a presidential debate.
What about when it comes to public perception? Do you think that this would help us, the voting population, to compare and contrast both parties and what they're proposing to us? And if so, should we then be the ones to call for it?
I mean, yes, I'm sure there are a group of voters who've already made up their mind in terms of which of the candidates they are going to vote for. But even those who have already made up their minds, I'm sure would appreciate seeing these two candidates side by side debating on the key matters that would help move the development needle of the country forward and say, yeah, this is the reason why I'm choosing candidate A or candidate B. There are also voters, I'm sure, who are still making up their minds. If you look at some of the most recent polls, there's still a sizable percentage who are saying they are undecided. some of these things can help us, sway them in one direction or another. So again, the call for it by the Ghanaian public, I think would also hopefully help persuade the candidates to give this some serious consideration and end up participating.
But Ben, before we go to our other guests, we don't have a manifesto yet from both parties. So is this coming too early or too late? Or what do you think?
I don't know. It could. I mean, some comments from the debates could even shape, in the end, what goes into these manifestos. But by now, I would be surprised if the parties didn't know exactly what. I mean, look at the NDC, for example. Definitely some things you see, a 24-hour economy and other things in there. In the MPP, definitely digitization leading to digitalization and what it can do in terms of the mechanics of it. So I think some of the matters are clear. But on education, for example, like I said at Kempinski the other day, the former president spoke about what his plan for education is. We need to see the fine-tuning. We need to see, for example, I posed a question to him about the Tema oil refinery. The nitty-gritty, the fine details of how it will be done. And I would be interested in seeing them reflect on some of these points, and especially for the vice president when it comes to the economy and some matters arising, because I'm not utterly convinced about some of the utterances I've heard on these matters. Okay,
we can go to Dr. Arthur Kennedy now then. Doc, would you say that the debates that we've had in history, I mean, I can talk about the 2008 debate that it was declared that Mahama was the winner for that debate. Do you think that it's in no small way influenced the turnout of the elections? And is that something to look at? Whether the results of these debates going forward can influence voter turnout or the choices of the voting population?
Yeah, I can. But by the way, in 2008, Mr. Mahama was not in the debates. It was between Nana Akufo-Addo and
John Evans
Atta-Mills. Yeah.
Having said that, debates in general, bend to take some respectful disagreement, are not about the nitty-gritty. Sometimes they are about the view. For example, in 1960, most Americans who listened to the debate thought that Mr. Nixon won. Most of those who watched the TV, which was a more bigger audience, thought that John Kennedy had won because he looked younger and more relaxed. So sometimes it's about the visuals. And for example, if you remember in 2008, Mr. Indium dressed very well in bright colors. His delivery was sharp, and as the statesman put it, what did they call free press, transcendental Indium connects. In the same way, when you go to 1976 in the US, the thing that most people remembered was President Ford appearing to say that the people of Eastern Europe were free when most Americans didn't think so. And I think one of my two favorite debate moments was 1980, when Reagan summed up by saying, therefore, my fellow Americans, the question is, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? And that settled the election. So these are about moments rather than detail. And most French people remember 1988, when Chirac looked into Mitterrand's eyes and said, on this issue, looking into my eyes, tell me what I'm saying is not true. And Mitterrand said it's not true. And it turned out that according to Chirac, the camera didn't pan to Mitterrand, but Mitterrand didn't look him in the eye. So these debates are most of the time about moments. And having said that, I think that they help clarify issues. And one of the biggest effects of debates is energy. We just saw one between Biden and Trump here. And ironically, it was Biden who called for it, and he actually proposed most of the parameters, and Trump agreed. And as a result of that, Biden's candidacy is under assault. So it is the general tone and tenor of what people take away from it, as well as the visuals.
What about the other minor parties? I mean, should we restrict these debates or the possibility of it to the two major political parties? We have the CPP, the ARC, and the rest. Where do they come in all of this?
I don't think we should restrict it. I think I like the way the Americans do it, that they have parameters. For example, if the polling that they do show that you have, say, 2% support nationally or 1% or whatever, then you belong in the debate. That I think is a very reasonable point. If you are on the ballot in 50 states, you belong in the debate. And debates are very important because if you look at Ross Perot, for example, in 1992 and then in 1996, in 1992, he was in the debates. He got 19%, which is a historic high for a third-party candidate. The following election cycle, he wasn't in the debates, and his support dropped by almost 10%. So being in the debates matter. I think this time around, for example, I would make a case that maybe Alan Chematin belongs in the debates.
Okay, let me go to Dr. Osai-Kwapo, and then Ben, you can come in. This morning, I was speaking to Afelmoni, and he was saying that, well, I was quoting what Joyce Bauer, the special aide to former President Mahama, was saying, that the only reason they're refusing this is because they don't see anything unparalleled happening. They would accept to debate if what they are proposing and what the NPP is proposing is something that is up for debate, but really there's nothing to debate. How do you respond to that?
Well, there's always something. There's always something to debate, right? So, for example, let's take John Mahama's idea of the 24-hour, economy. Let's assume that even the NPP was proposing the same thing. Chances are there will be some differences in how they're thinking of it, how they want to, implement it, whatever, right? So even if they were quote-unquote proposing the same ideas, right? The articulation of it may even be different. The ways they want to go about it may even be different. But here you have two contrasts, between the two candidates, and so why not debate those two contrasts, or even debate those two choices? I mean, they are presenting themselves as this is the way forward for Ghana. Debating even the choice of do we go the NDC direction or do we go the MPP direction, I believe is worthy of a debate. But again, the parties themselves have not been very consistent in their willingness to participate in a debate, which makes it very difficult for, to take a position now, right? Like you wanted it in the past, you didn't want it in the present. If you flip it, one wanted it, did not want it in the past, but wants it now. And that inconsistency, I think, makes it very difficult to ask, well, why now? Why do you want it now?
Why now?
Dr. Kwapon, let me stay with you briefly before I go to Dr. Arthur Kennedy on the same point. Having listened to the two foremost candidates, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, John Dramani Mahama, let's assume a debate doesn't happen. As of today, of all the things they've said, taking that into context, who has convinced you more ahead of election 2024?
Benjamin, I can't answer.
But you can. That. It's a choice. I'm not asking whom are you voting for. I'm asking, as of today, who has convinced you the most or the more? That's all I'm asking.
Yes, but even that implied in my answer would then mean that I have a choice between the two candidates. Look, it is up to. Let me put it this way: I've been writing about these two candidates and the task ahead of them. Right? Tomorrow you would see in Daily Graphic my piece on the assessment of John Mahama's media engagement on Sunday, in which I give him a number of positives and point out something that I thought he could do differently. Same thing I wrote about Dr. Bawumia during his policy engagement speech, a couple of months ago. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's which of the two candidates do you trust? I think that's one of the things that Ghanaians are looking for. Who do you trust? Who do you believe can actually move the country forward? All of that. But no, for me, it's one of those questions that
okay.
I
will respect your decision to distance yourself. Hold for me, Dr. Arthur Kennedy. Just hold for me. I'll come to you on that same point. But let me bring in Henry Nanabwache, who is national organizer of the MPP. Nana, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you join the conversation.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I'm on my way from the Western region to Accra, so if we find some challenges in the network, kindly forgive me.
We can understand. We can understand.
Yes.
Thank you for alerting us. The Vice President, your presidential candidate, has called for a debate. It's interesting because the last time the former president spoke to the media, I heard rhetoric from there that, oh, let's have a debate. But the question is, why? Why is he calling for this debate? What is the root thinking behind the debate?
I think that it is very important. First of all, good morning to your viewers and to your listeners. I think that it's very important that we have this debate. The reason is that, first of all, these two gentlemen, that is former President Mahama, he's been vice president before, he's been president before, he's seeking to come back. He's been mentioning some policies, 24-hour economy. I think that they are struggling to get the explanation and the details down to the people. There's been a whole lot of confusion around this policy. We have the sitting vice president, who is also the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party. So I think that, for me, we should not even include any other political party. I mean, let's just go strictly. I mean, these are the two main political parties, NPP, NDC. And I think they need to lock horns in this particular debate. And because, you see, NDC, they claim that the certain vice president, who is also the chairperson or the chairman for the economic management team, he's taken, or he made some decisions, and then they want to blame some of the challenges that we have regarding the economy on him. That is fine.
Right.
That is their own view. I mean, that view can be respected by some people. So why not debate? Let's lock horns. Let's face off. Let's give Ghanaians that show. It is very important.
Maybe a showdown.
You're moving around. You're moving around. Yes. You're moving around. You're talking about 24-hour economy. He's also moving. He's also crisscrossing the country. He talked about the 70 bullet point policy that he intends to bring. You recall the UPSA lecture. So I think that Ghanaians should be looking for this. And I'm very sure that some reputable and some important organizations like AGI, like the National Union of Ghana Students, like GUTA, TUC, I think they'll be interested. They should create this platform for these two gentlemen. Recently, there was a program organized by CEOs Forum or Summit where His Excellency, the former president, Mr. Mahama, was there.
Right.
And then the current vice president, His Excellency Bawumia, was there. And I think that both of them spoke. And it was interesting how the engagement was. I think they need to engage in this intellectual debate. People are looking up for it. And it is very important. We need to have it. And if you recall, in recent past, we have had or we've seen a debate involving the second president and Mr. Mahama before. We've seen it before. So this is going to be the matter of all elections, if you ask me. This is important. We in the MPP, we are seeking to make sure we go beyond the 8-year, if you want to put it, political cycle. We are seeking to go beyond it. And there's a former president who was a certain president who lost, and then he's seeking to come back. So I think that the debate, and nobody should run away from it. And I entreat the former president not to be swayed off by his handlers. He should prepare and face off with Bawumia.
I just have some brief follow-up questions. Dr. Arthur Kennedy is also with us. He made mention of the fact that, in his opinion, he thinks usually it is the candidate in a weaker position that pushes for the debate, and he thinks Dr. Bawumia is in a weaker position. You would also realize that in 2016, 2020, we've not had those debates. It's 2024. What has changed? Quick responses?
Yes, that is why I'm saying that, yes, in these, if you consider the years you just mentioned, yes, but there were still the same candidates involved, former President Mahama and the current president, but they have had a debate before. So we've seen it before, right? So these were the two main personalities involved in the elections, and they've had it before. I totally disagree with Mr. Kennedy. I mean, he stayed in the U.S. for quite a long time, and they've had traditional debates. And recently, we witnessed the one between Biden and then Trump. I don't think that it is a weaker candidate that would be calling for a debate. It is rather the person who thinks that I can better explain my policies. You have been making certain assertions. Let's have one common platform. Let's debate. I mean, Mr. Kennedy's assertions are totally unfounded. As I said, he stayed in the U.S. for quite a long time. And the debate is very, very, very conventional there. It's a traditional debate they have all the time. And I think that it's important that we expose the electorate to this kind of debate for us to see. It is very important. So I totally disagree with you.
All right. But if I just came through with this before Sweetie Abochi comes through, if the NDC does not decide to debate on this issue, what will the MPP do?
Oh, I mean,
just as in the past, there were times too when now President Akufo-Addo refused to debate before he became president. That also happened.
That is why I said that although he refused, he has debated before, and he debated the former president. So at least for Ghanaians, we have seen that debate before. We've seen it, right? So I'm saying that this is a new chapter. These two gentlemen, they've been vice president before, and then they are now presidential candidates of their respective political parties. One was a former president. He's seeking to come back. What are the new things he's coming on board with? What is he proposing? What policy alternatives is he going to champion? It's important. That is why I'm saying that, I mean, for respectfully, for the smaller parties, we can have a different platform for them. But this should be between MPP and NDC. I think Ghanaians would love to have this show, especially in such a heated political period we find ourselves. So anybody, you ask a question, what if the NDC decides not to partake in this debate? That is absolutely up to them. But then Ghanaians will know that they are running away from a debate. Everybody will know that they are running away from the debate. Was
Akufo-Addo running away from the debate when he refused?
But he has debated before.
Mahama has debated before, has he not?
Sorry?
Mahama has debated before, has he not?
He has not debated Bawumia before.
So
he has not
the same questions.
Bawumia before.
Nana Boakye, the same questions you were asking. What are the new policies he's proposing? What is new this time? And although you are hold on a second, I need to get through my question. You are proposing bold solutions for the future, but we haven't actually seen your manifesto, which is essentially a list of the policies and plans that you have, should you get the power, what you plan to enact. So is this not coming a bit too early? Shouldn't you present your manifestos, both parties, before we can actually debate on what you're presenting in your manifestos?
Oh, no. Our flag bearer is not saying that we should debate today or tomorrow or the day after. We can have an appropriate
Did you say you're releasing your manifesto today or the day after?
No. Our manifesto is going to come out somewhere next month.
Next month, okay.
Yes, so I mean, if every, or if we have to wait for manifestos to be presented before we have the debate, that is fine. But essentially, what is being proposed is that there should be a debate. As to the time, we can always talk about it. That is fine. I think I can agree with you. We should wait for all political parties' manifestos to come out first. That is fine. That is okay. But essentially, what is being proposed is that there must be a debate. And I think I subscribe to that. And I know, I mean, you can run some polls. I know a lot of Ghanaians, well-meaning Ghanaians, middle class, low class, upper class. Everybody would want to see and witness this debate. including yourself. I think that is very important. I mean, for a huge media station like yourself, I'm sure that you'll be happy to cover this debate. I think you rather even should be championing for it. You should be.
Henry Nanabuachi, we are grateful for your time. And we wish you the best. You say you're touring the Western region, right? You're in the Western region.
We're coming from Western region to Greater Accra, yes.
We wish you the very best and do stay safe.
Much.
That is Henry Nanabuachi. He is national organizer of the New Patriotic Party. I know you have some reflections on that, Dr. Arthur Kennedy, but don't forget my initial question before we crossed over. Which of these two gentlemen, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and former President John Dramani Mahama, even if we didn't have a debate, as of today, has impressed you with his or her thinking, rhetoric, ideas, planned policies? Dr. Arthur Kennedy.
Yeah. Let me begin with my brother, Henry Nanabuachi. I think I should excuse him because he didn't hear all my presentation. So I think his judgment was a little premature. But what I said actually still stands, that in general, people who think they need the debate more or are behind press for it more, which is human nature. In 2020, the president didn't think he needed the debate as much. And as for Nanabuachi's point that he has debated Mahama before, elections change. So the fact that you debated somebody 4 years ago doesn't mean that the issues for this election are the same. But we know even that in the MPP primary, some people were calling for debate. And of course, the vice president, who is very eager for debating now, didn't want to debate them. Also, to respectfully correct him on the record in US, debates do not always happen. You know, the first one happened in 1960. Another one didn't happen until 1976. And at that time, consistent with my theory, the president was behind. So he finally agreed to a debate because he thought it would shake up the race. In 1980, the same thing, the president was behind. So he agreed to a debate because he thought it would shake the race. But having said that, I think that debates are useful, but I respectfully disagree with him that it should be just between the MPP and NDC. I think that we should have criteria, and that if there are other parties or independent candidates that meet certain criteria, they should be included. He referred to what the public will want to see. I'm sure that most Ghanaians will want to see Dr. Bawumia, Mr. Mahama, and Mr. Chiramatin debate. If you put it to the vote, a lot of people will want that. And I think that particularly in a year when a lot of people are demoralized because the two old parties have the same solutions, I think it will be a service to the public. Now, to take on your questions, Benjamin, I'm itching to answer it, but I recall, you know, my mother saying that when two men are preparing fufu and you are supposed to eat it and judge, you can't judge the fufu while they are pounding it. So at this stage, I think we should wait for them. As you, she rightly pointed out, we don't even know their manifestos. Let's see their manifestos, let's see the debates. But having said that, I think as somebody who helped prepare both Nanado and Dr. Bawumia for debates and discuss polling and others with Professor Larry Gibson, if you ask me whose case I would like to prosecute if I was a candidate, I think President Mahama ab initio has a better case. It doesn't mean he will win after you watch the debates and watch the manifestos, but at this time he has a better case. And Alan Chiramatin might have a very interesting case too.
Oh, I see. You know, I've got this message sent personally to me from Eric. He says, please ask Nanabuachi, unfortunately we've let go of him, that when Mahama wanted to debate Bawumia, Bawumia said Mahama should debate the Kayaye, the nurses, the drivers, and those who were suffering under the then economy. Tell them to go and debate their bogus economy. That's the current economy. Okay, so those are some thoughts coming through. Interesting discussion. We have to go in a bit, but Dr. Osai Kwapong, now moving forward, if we did have such a debate, And I'm going to look at two angles as you give your final points. If we did have such a debate, what things should be at the forefront? Yes, we know about the economy, but what else? There are so many issues. There's galamsey, there's corruption, there's the Temorial refinery, there's energy, independent power producers. How do we go about it? We've had debates in the past. How do we go about streamlining such a debate to achieve maximal impact rather than just be a talk shop where people come and talk without proving anything?
Yeah, I think let's assume that the two parties or the various candidates agree to a debate. They can, as part of the negotiation of the rules, can decide, okay, the duration, the venue, what topics are we keeping? If there are too many issues, do we have maybe 2 or 3 debates where one debate focuses on the economy, another debate focuses on the social policies, things like that? But these are things that both sides or all participants will have to negotiate and come to some consensus on. For me, though, and I've been saying this since my project had a meeting with representatives of our registered political parties, that the one issue that I believe should be part of this election, which is still not, is the quality of Ghana's democracy, right? I mean, I understand that the economic issues are very important, but if you look at a lot of these governance and democracy indices, you do see some real deterioration in the quality of Ghana's democracy. And I'm still waiting to really hear from the candidates what are some of the ways in which we can stem some of this decline? I mean, if you listen to President Akufo-Addo back in September to his ECOWAS colleagues, he said to them, democracy in West Africa is in danger. If you listen to his Independence Day speech, even though he praised some of the strides that we've made in securing democracy in Ghana, he also pointed out to some of the challenges. One of the things he talked about was the deteriorating nature of our public discourses. And so for me, I'm still waiting for the candidates to articulate how we address some of the deteriorations that we're seeing in governance issues and particularly the quality of Ghana's democracy.
I guess I would put that as well to Dr. Kwame Arthur Kennedy, and then if you have any final thoughts, we can take them. Doc?
Yeah, I actually would suggest 2 debates between the presidential candidates, and qualifying for those debates will depend on your standing in the polls and the public perceptions. I think sitting here now, I would have 3 people in that debate. I will have former President Mahama, I will have Vice President Bawumia, and then I will have Mr. Chiramatin. I think the 2 debates, one of them, it should be about 90 minutes each. Opening statement, closing statement, 2 minutes to answer a question, 1 minute for rebuttal. And then I think there should be a panel of journalists. That's the first debate. The second one, I think it should be by members of the public asking questions, and you do it one of 2 ways. You ask TUC, et cetera, to bring people and members of the general public, or you go around and take video questions and you have a panel screen them. So you put the video on and you let the candidate respond. I also think that there should be a vice presidential debate, one of them, so that vice presidents can question one another or defend one another's boss, and we can see the team as compared to just an individual. So those are the kinds of things that I would bring up. I also think, though, that it is interesting that the president should talk about the deterioration in the quality of our democracy and others. I think basically this is a Freudian confession. He has contributed a lot to the deterioration in the quality of our democracy and our institutions, and it is interesting that he should be concerned about that.
Dr. Arthur Kennedy, so we have to go, gentlemen, but since we're going to do this next, I would just hold you briefly for just about a minute and get your thoughts on it. I'm sure you've heard of, and sweetie, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh and his rhetoric, Kwame Nkrumah. there's a statement from him. Would you like to walk us through, Sweetie?
Yes, there's a statement from the camp of Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. And before that, I just want to say I agree with Dr. Kennedy's call for vice presidential debates. I think that would be very interesting.
It should be.
Yeah. We should try and set that agenda. Anyway, so the letter is saying that I did not mean to denigrate former President Dr. Kwame Nkrumah or any other president. This is coming from Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. He says, my statement last Tuesday, 9th July in Kumasi on the performance of the President Akufo-Addo has elicited various reactions. The statements reflect my personal opinion about President Akufo-Addo's impact relative to other presidents we've had. I wish to emphasize that I never meant to disrespect our former president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, or any of our former heads of state, including my own granduncle and mentor, Mr. John Ajekun Kufuor. I note the concerns raised after my statement. I apologize sincerely and regret any discomfort caused. Thank you.
I am asking myself, I'm scratching my head and asking, has he said anything different from what he said? Because listen to him. He says, the statement reflects my personal opinion about President Akufo-Addo's impact. And he says, I wish to emphasize that I never meant to disrespect him, but I'm comparing him to all former presidents we have had.
So not that I made a mistake, not that that was a slip of tongue, but that it reflects his personal opinion, but he's apologizing.
Dr. Osai-Kwapong, Dr. Arthur Kennedy, this will be the final bit. Your take on this apology. Do we have Dr. Osai-Kwapong?
Yes. Okay. So for me, it's I'm glad that he's issued the apology because for an event that was meant to outdoor him and sort of shine light on his choice as Dr. Bawumia's running mate, that statement ended up being the focus of all post-outdooring conversations, right? That now, we are talking so much about the late president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, to the point where you even think he's on the ballot. And I don't think that is what the NPP wanted to see post that ceremony at Menchia Palace and at Jubilee Park. And so for me, it's good that he's come out to render an apology to those who have taken offense. And hopefully the focus can get back to, to him and his party and why he's the choice for Dr. Bawumia, et cetera, because I think that is what they were hoping to have. But unfortunately, it has been overshadowed by that statement. So hopefully this corrects, or at least helps correct that.
Dr. Arthur Kennedy.
I was disappointed by the apology. The apology did nothing except rub salt into the wounds of those who were offended. Kwame Nkrumah is not Kwame Nkrumah. He's our Kwame Nkrumah. He's Africa's Kwame Nkrumah, Africa's man of the millennium. And I think that a genuinely humble and regretful apology would have been nice. Napo's faux pas is even worse, particularly judging context. Remember, the whole week before he was named, there were people talking about his perceived arrogance. And actually, on Joy FM's news file on Saturday, I said that I was disturbed because the people who were defending him seemed to be giving us the impression that arrogance is a virtue, from some of the comments that they made. And the Asantehene, to his credit, said, I brought you up. People say you are arrogant. I didn't see that, but go out there and prove to them that you are not arrogant. Then a few minutes or hours later, she ended up doing just that. In actual fact, if you were in Kumasi and trying to turn out Ashanti votes, you have been better praising Kufuor than praising Nana Akufo. And in actual fact, it is without doubt that I can tell you that I think President Kufuor has been the best president of the Fourth Republic. and President Kwame Nkrumah will be our vice president for eternity. There is no conceivable scenario in which we'll get a better president. So I think that Napo made an unfortunate start. He needs advice, he needs humility, and he needs to tread carefully going forward.
Thank you so much for having joined the conversation, Dr. Kwame Arthur Kennedy. He's a physician and political activist. We also have Dr. John Osai Kwapong, a CDD fellow. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining the conversation.
A part of me was wishing to hear him say these words rather than read it on a piece of paper.
Well, Dr. Arthur Kennedy reflected my thoughts. I read it and I was wondering what was happening. But there it is, his apology.
Yeah, and we do have to go. But before we go, are you stressed out about your cleaning needs? Worry no more. Dance World Services is your one-stop shop that meets all your commercial and residential cleaning needs, from pest control, janitorial, and house cleaning, even events cleaning and waste management and carpets, sofa, etc. Whether at home or at work, they understand and know how haptic cleaning can be coupled with your busy lifestyle. So they've got great news for you. Dance World Environmental and Facility Management Services has got you covered. They excel in whatever they do, leaving you beyond expectations. And so you can locate them at Excel House, opposite Regiminal Estate in Nungwa Barrier, or simply call them on 0302 905 538 or 0555 752361. Dance World Services, beyond expectations. Then,
well, let's also talk about the distinguished awards under the patronage of Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Tokono, Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. Now, the UPSA Law School proudly presents the 2024 Lifetime Achievement in Law Award and Honorific Lecture. The event presents a rare but high-level opportunity to recognize and acknowledge the outstanding and exemplary contributions of notable Ghanaian personalities in the areas of the rule of law, governance, and the legal academy. Well, this year's Lifetime Achievement in Law Award will be conferred on Nana Dr. SKB Asante, Paramount Chief of Asante Asokore. He's also former Director, United Nations Center on Transnational Corporations, and Chairman of the Committee of Experts that drafted the 1992 Constitution of Ghana at an august ceremony befitting the aura of the occasion. The event comes off on Thursday, the 25th of July, 2024 at 5 p.m. at the Kofi Ohene Konedu Auditorium at the University of Professional Studies, Accra. Visit the social media platforms of the UPSA Law School or call them on 0245 347 946 for more information. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back on the AM show as we get ready to wind down on the conversation. Let's tell you about Euro 2024, and we at the Multimedia Group are proud to announce that we are the official free-to-air radio broadcast right owners of Euro 2024, and now you know we're at the doorstep of the final. We'll deliver live commentary of selected games, including the opening game and the final, that is Spain-England, with our team of talented commentators and analysts on Joy FM, Love FM, Hits FM, Adom FM, Insura FM, and Asempa FM. Now, apart from the live radio commentary, the Multimedia Group also has curated custom Euro 2024 shows on radio, TV, and digital, as well as live viewing events, all aimed at delivering an unparalleled experience of the competition to you, our viewers, and to our audience as well. Now, the Multimedia Group's radio broadcast coverage of the Euro 2024 tournament is by courtesy of Sporty TV and Sporty Bet. Watch selected matches of Euro 2024 live on Sporty TV channel 36 on your digital TV sets.
And while you're doing that, this is an invitation to escape to the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Japa, Dubai. You have seen the rest, now it's time to see the best. Take a break from work and take a break from the South. The Royal Cozy Hills Hotel is the best place to relax, rewind, and re-energize. It is away from all the stress of the South. And what awaits you? Unforgettable safari experience, amazing array of wildlife, including lions, hippopotamuses, zebras, ostriches, and many others, using their spacious and well-secured game tour vehicles or quad bikes. There is also water sports such as jet skiing, boat and canoe rides, as well as various family games to keep you and your family excited all day long. In addition, great tourist attractions in the Upper West region, including the Mushroom Rock and Slave Caves, all await you. So escape from the south, escape to the north, escape to Royal Cozy Hills Hotel for an unforgettable safari experience. And these are their call lines: 0501 694 280 or 024 88 44463. You can call them for reservations and further inquiries now.
Well,
that's what we have.
Indeed, that is what we have, and we're back on Radio Garden. But maybe before we tell you about that, let me just salute Wallace Hudson all the way in Tennessee in the United States. Tomorrow is your birthday, Wallace. Happy birthday to you in advance. And this one comes through from Samuel Mbura. It says, may this new year of life be filled with adventure, growth, and unforgettable moments. It goes on and on, but for the sake of time, cheers to you, my amazing friend and sister, Betty Lebene. Betty Lebene. It's also from Joycelyn Ajay Boateng, Airport MTTD, Accra. Those requests coming through
but what,
as well.
I mean, we also have something special going on tomorrow. It's the mini fair of the Joy News EcoBank Habitats Fair. You don't want to miss it. The first mini clinic came at Achimota Mall. This time we are going all the way to Tema. So come out in your numbers and experience the amazing discounts and products and services we have lined up for you. It's the Tema mini fair of the Joy News EcoBank Habitats Fair on the theme, Get a House, Make It a Home. So there you have it at Tema Metropolitan Assembly, starting from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. We'll see you there.
Well, we also have this birthday, Juanita Tete, or as we'll say here, Juanita Tete. Juanita currently schools in England. We wish you a day filled with love, laughter, and all your favorite things. Hope your special day is as bright and beautiful as you are. Enjoy every moment of your celebration in England. You deserve it. And that's a message that also came through for us.
And that's our show for the week. But before we go, check your screens now. We are back on Radio Garden. And it says, dear valued audience, we are excited to inform you that you can now listen to all your favorite programs on Joy FM, Love FM, Hits FM through the Radio Garden app and website while on the go. We are committed to providing convenient ways for you to enjoy your radio experience. So stay tuned. My name is Sweetie Abochi, and of course, it's always a pleasure to do this with the gallant Benjamin Akapo, who always copies me. I don't know why he does that.
I have nothing to say. We wish you a wonderful weekend. Do enjoy, and all the best.
Yep, that's all.